University and features real people with real issues and offers real answers. And now, here's your host, Kenneth Anderson.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Second Chance Radio broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson. As always, delighted to be here with you in the studio for the broadcast. And of course, we have the opportunity every Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time to have a conversation with a series of guests. And for the past 2.5 years, we have been doing that virtually. But today is a very special day, and this week is a very special week because we are in the middle of a huge fall support drive right here at WJLU 90.1 FM. It's called Put a Praise on It. And that's why we're here today live in the studio. All of our guests for the next couple of weeks are going to be live in the studio, which is something, again, that we have not done in a significant amount of time. So it's a little surreal for me being in the studio with guests. As some of you will recall, there was a little thing called a pandemic that came up, and it turned our world upside down, and we transitioned from having people in the studio to having people virtually in the process. And so it was very important for us to be able to understand the landscape at the time, to be able to keep people safe at the time. And because we are in the process of this huge fundraiser this week, we wanted to be able to do something a little different and a little special. And so we today will be doing just that. I'm going to once again, and I've been so excited about this, but, we've had a little transition and there's some fun things going on, there's some good things going on, and some interesting things going on. I want to say that I have gone back to giving my NFL picks each week, but I'm going to forego the picks again this week as I did last week in order to be able to get right into the conversation. One thing I will not ignore, though, is the fact that my Yankees are in the American League Championship Series. They'll be playing the Cleveland Guardians, and, of course, I say go Yankees. The other series, the National League Championship Series, is going to be the L.A. Dodgers and the New York Mets. I'm in one of those interesting situations this year because I don't think I can lose. As long as the Yankees are in, that will be an absolute wonderful thing. And, of course, if the Mets get in, I'm not going to be hurt at all. I'm one of those people that root for New York teams regardless of who they are, even though I know it's kind of a cardinal rule that Yankees fans don't support the Mets, but this guy actually does. So, and I do what I want to do because I am who I am. We're so glad to have you here this afternoon, and we hope that you're having a good Sunday afternoon. It's a beautiful day here in the Tennessee Valley, and we remind you once again that this is homecoming weekend for Alabama A&M and one of my two alma maters. I have dual citizenship. I'm an ambassador and was an ambassador first here at Oakwood University. And then when I transitioned on the Hill to get my graduate degree, I became a Bulldog. So I now kind of move between both worlds in a lot of different ways. And I'm very honored and happy to say I'm degreed from both of those institutions. And, of course, that means it's been a big weekend for me. The Bulldogs yesterday crushed the Bethune-Cookman University team, 56-12. So we hope that those that were celebrating yesterday as a consequence of that win celebrated in a safe manner. And those that might be leaving town right now, we hope that you will take advantage of the opportunity to drive safely as you leave or to fly safely. We wish you the best as you make the transition. For those that are staying in town, we want to remind you that this is our support drive, and we are challenging people that, and I'm going to give you the number first because you may want to write that down first. The phone number to call is 256 726 8012. That's 256 726 8012. You can also reach out to us at WJLU.org on the web and make your secure donation there. We've issued several challenges, 34 years at WJLU for myself. So one contribution of $34. Dave has been here for 42 years. So we've given you that challenge of $42 for a donation. The number that represents the victory that the A&M Bulldogs had yesterday over the Bethune-Cookman University team, 56. So we're asking those that are caught up in Bulldog fever right now to consider making a contribution of $56. And, of course, A&M represents or is celebrating its 150th anniversary next year. I'm part of that anniversary committee, and so we'd like you to consider making a $150 donation. I have a very special guest in the studio this afternoon. She's Renee Scruggs. Renee became a person who has become a strong and vociferous disability self-advocate after being severely and permanently injured in a car accident during her freshman year of college in 1979. Renee is now the author of a book called Grown, subtitled An Unexpected Journey to a Life-Affirming Conclusion When Life Attacks. What's Your Superpower? A true life story that is sometimes entertaining, sometimes heartbreaking, but always a compelling account of forgiveness, discovery, regret, perseverance, faith, hope, and rededication in her life. While the story may make you laugh, cry, or just reflect, its purpose is to educate, rejuvenate, nurture, and inspire readers as they navigate the storms we all experience in our lives. And, of course, it is my privilege to welcome to the broadcast Renee Scruggs. Renee, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing just fine.
Good.
Oops. Yeah, let's go with that one. Just push that one to the side. There
Can
we go.
you hear me?
Say again?
Am I on?
Yep, you are.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, just lean into it a little. There you go. There
All
you go.
right.
Oh, that's perfect. I hear you loud and clear, like you're sitting right here, actually, which is all good. Renee, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Well, congratulations on the book. This is something that, a lot of people have experienced in life, and I know that a lot of times over the course of one's life, depending on what the person has experienced, the thought of writing a book or people saying, have you written a book yet, is something that you hear quite a bit. So talk to us a little bit about the journey to writing the book, and then we'll actually talk about the content.
The journey. The journey started about 42 years ago. My accident was in 1979. And after my accident, of course, everyone was asking, so are you going to write a book about the accident? And I would say, yeah, I plan to. And after about 15, 20 years, and that same explanation, I think people just started doubting, well, if it gets done, fine. But this last, especially 5 years, especially during COVID, with us losing so many people, it kind of brought me back to the things that I had lost, the things that I had actually gained through the accident. And there were just some pressing emotions that I needed to deal with. Yeah. I've been writing, quote unquote, this book literally for 45 years since I got hurt. And what I learned within this last 5 years was it was therapy for me. There were parts of the book, especially the first part where I'm walking through the accident itself, and then some things about my mother and some other parts of it. I literally had to lay a cloth down over my keyboard so that I wouldn't short it out because I was crying so much. But I realized that after all of that went on, that it was almost like a load lifted. But in trying to do that over the last 45 years, every time I would sit down, my mind inside my head, it just felt like someone was taking all the words that I was trying to say and throwing them up against my skull. Yeah. And then I would go blank, and then I would just give up. Yeah. So this has been a great accomplishment for me, and it's been great therapy, great free therapy for me.
Well, listen, I love the contextualizing of the experience as therapy because I'm a therapist. And I think so many times when we're able to process the experience in a way that can lead us from one place to the next, it can potentially be a positive thing for us. Tell us about the accident. I think about when you and I say the accident, we know what happened, but there are people listening that may not know.
Correct.
But I think about you being at the very beginning of your journey in terms of life. in
Correct.
some ways.
Right.
College. Everybody goes to college thinking, wow, the world is in front of me. All these
Right.
wonderful things are going to happen. You just been through your first quarter and this happens. Tell us
Correct.
about the accident.
I graduated from high school summer of 79. And like you said, the world was mine to, grasp. Came down to Huntsville to go to Oakwood and did my first, we were on quarters then, did my first quarter, went home back to Michigan in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt and totally forgot, oh, it's not 85 degrees in Michigan in November. And got through that. And of course, back then, I think again, like they do now, we were out for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So, a kid in Detroit, you going home, you got to find a job.
Yeah.
So started working and the weekend after Thanksgiving, I wanted to go up and visit some of the kids at the academy that I had graduated from. And of all of the days, and we researched it, of all the days of that year, that was probably the worst weather weekend that Michigan had had. Um, we had most of it was ice. Michigan gets plenty of snow, but when you get ice, there's just nothing you can do about it. So we went to this small campus. It's not far from Lansing, from where the college is in Lansing, and stayed overnight on Friday. Got up Saturday, went to church, and then Saturday evening, since it's a resident campus, whoever comes to visit, you get to be the delivery person for the food. So we took all the orders. You want this pizza, you want this burger, you want this whatever shake. And we were headed out to get the pizza and ended up had a minor fender bender, which in Michigan, that's normal. The fender bender ended up turning into a third car, jackknifing down the hill, and I was standing in between our two cars. So from that, the third car hit the first car, pushed the second and third car into me. I was in between them. And I just never will forget. I was standing there, and when the person saw the car coming, my friends who I was riding with, they started yelling, "Everyone get out of the way, get out of the way." And I stood up to run. And when I stood up, my foot slipped. And I'm like, I'm on ice. And I looked down and I wasn't just on ice. I was on about 3 inches of ice. And I remember in my head a voice just saying, just dive. Dive like you're in a swimming pool, just dive. And as soon as I stretched out, I felt something kind of grab me, felt like it grabbed me around my legs. And then I don't know if I'm giving my age away. I probably am.
It's okay.
But there used to be a Calgon commercial. They used to say, "Calgon, take me away." And all of these pictures would spin around. That's what I saw. I was up in the air and I was close enough to one of the trees that I could actually reach out and touch one of the vines. Spun, and hit the ground. And it's fascinating. We're talking about sports. It's football season. When I hit the ground, I remember in my head just strange things that you remember. I remember growing up, my dad was always a sports fan, football especially. And he would scream and yell, "Over the top, over the top." And I would watch him as a kid when the players would spike the ball. And he would spike the ball, and run around the living room. And that's exactly how I felt when I hit the ground. Like somebody had taken me and literally thrown me into the ground. And I remember hearing a voice say, "Yeah, you're going to be in trouble for a long time this time." So, but the writing of the book was also helpful to me because I have been told my story several times. And it wasn't the story that I remember being in. I have been told, people have told me that they're so glad that, I found the Lord and stopped doing drugs and drinking. And I was like, that doesn't sound like anything familiar to me. So another reason why I wrote the book was so that people could actually have the real story. Because I often tell people, I'm like, no, my life's never that glamorous. It's just the car accident and ice. That was it,
Yeah.
But it kind of, to me, it kind of gave some clarity. And it was definitely, even as I'm thinking about it now, I don't have the emotional baggage that I had before I wrote it.
I didn't know you at that time. I
Hmm.
knew who you were, but I didn't know you. I had just graduated in '79 myself,
Right.
but I was trying to figure it out after graduation, and those 13 months out of those first 13 months after graduation were some of the roughest in my life. So,
Yep.
I was really focused on a bunch of things. But, whenever the Oakwood student has a crisis
Correct.
over the years, decades now, we know about it, we hear about it,
Hmm.
and we kind of coalesce around that person as
It's
a
family.
family.
That's right.
What was that experience like for you? Because the work clearly got back to Huntsville and people heard about your accident.
Hmm.
What was that? What was that whole experience in that moment like for you? And not during the accident, but just post accident.
The Oakwood experience, and I know some people don't understand it, but it is, in fact, one word: family. It is. Um, my mother had another idea in mind where I was going to college, and we kind of debated that my whole high school years. And I just ended up being able to come to Oakwood. Got here, made a lot of friends, got injured, and while I was home, didn't even before I even got back here, we were getting phone calls, we were getting cards, we were getting now there were a couple of things that were funny. E.C. Ward, who was the pastor of the church, I have a cousin, and she won't mind me using her name, Rita, and she would call us every week. Aunt Dell, it's still just Renee's legs, right? And we would say, well, why? Well, now she's had plastic surgery on her head and on her face. And she's like, I'm just calling to make sure I didn't miss anything. And we would be like, yeah, just the leg. But even that was a part of the love that was extended. When I came, before I even got back here, uh, what choir was I in? Way back when. And the director called my hospital room one day and said, is Renee going to get one of those prosthetics? And my mom said, yes, that's the plan. And they said, well, we want to hold a gospel concert to help raise the money for it. And until then, even now, my mom was not a believer. She still wanted me, even when I, rehab, to go to another school that was, especially now, much closer to home. But so I'm geared up with body cast down from almost head to toe, and I'm saying, "Okay." And they're talking about coming in 3 or 4 weeks. "Okay, I'll be ready." And the doctor was like, "Yeah, no, you're not going anywhere unless we're gonna roll this whole bed onto the airplane." So my mother said, well, my dad was sick. My father was sick throughout my time as a college student. So my mom was like, well, the family has to be represented. I'll go. And in my head, I was like, oh boy, this is not going to end well. She came to Oakwood and came back with a completely different perspective because the family had wrapped themselves around her when she came. She came back and she said, now, I don't know about you going there. Plus, it's so far away from home with you being injured. She said, but if anything would change my mind, it was this trip that I just made. She said, I know if we leave you there, you'll be perfectly okay because the people there, she said, it is like a family. I understand now why you want to be. You, I won't call out other names because I have not asked them, but we know there is a campus family here that if it had not been for you guys, I don't know that I would have survived as well as I have, if survived at all, to the point where when I got here, there was so much love and family camaraderie that I called my mom. I'm like, I'm not moving back home. I'm coming to get my stuff. She said, well, since all your people are down there, I know you'll be okay. So, yes.
Well, listen, this is clearly a multi-show conversation. We're not going to cover it all today, but I want to touch some of the high-level points. And this is one high-level point. You were very young at that time,
Hmm.
and you've lived a lot of your life since that time. You've
Yes.
experienced lots of things, and you certainly had successes and setbacks, and perhaps moments of reflection that have revealed certain things to you, or that you may have had challenges within that process.
Yes.
I like to ask this question of people who've had a certain degree of experience in life. If you knew then what you know now, a lot of people will say it like this: what would your age self now say to your younger self about your life as a consequence of this journey and this experience? What would the learning lessons be, and what would the best practices be that you would share with someone else?
Hmm. My letter to young Renee would be, number one, your parents don't have gray hair for no reason. There's a reason why they advise you in certain ways. And in my book, I talk about how at 18, I was so grown and was wondering why my mother was talking to me since I had all the answers to everything. But I would definitely, and I do, even when I'm asked to come and give my testimony or talk about my experience, I tell young people, listen to your older adults. They know what they're talking about. They've lived enough life to know where the hazards are,
Mm.
where the great things are. We don't know everything as older people, but we've lived enough life to actually kind of give you some good advice about where not to go, at least. Um, I also learned a lot about perseverance, and I learned a lot about spiritual relationship.
Mm.
And that doesn't mean churching.
Mm.
It means spiritual relationship.
Mm.
Because when you are in a hospital for 9 months, you can't go to church. And I think we kind of experienced something like that during COVID.
Mhm.
You know, you can't go to church. I hadn't seen anybody except my mom, and people who would stop by randomly.
Mhm.
You have to have some kind of personal connected base.
Mm.
And you don't necessarily get that going to church. I had gone to church my whole life, you know, and I was a good church goer. I was a good everything on the program from the time I was 7. My mom would literally have me read and then memorize the whole mission story, which was usually 6 to 7 pages.
Mhm.
Every choir you could think of from elementary to high school. But when I got hurt, I had to find the Jesus that I needed to anchor me.
Mm.
And young people nowadays, I think just from us being their example, I don't know that they really are getting the true story of who Jesus is and how important he has to be in their life for this world
Mm.
that we're living in. So those things I've learned, and wherever you're going positive, take somebody with you.
I love it all indeed. We have a few minutes left in the broadcast today. I'm talking with author Renee Scruggs. I love saying that. Author. She's the author of a book that I'm holding in my hands right now. It's called Grown. Subtitled An Unexpected Journey to a Life Affirming Conclusion When Life Attacks. What's your superpower? 2 more questions. First question is this: what's your superpower?
My superpower is hanging on to the Lord. Seriously. Um, it is when we talk about having empty tanks. When my tank goes empty, there's nothing else I know to hang on to. And I've been through things that I can't even really explain to people because they don't make sense. And some people have actually told me, well, you're probably remembering wrong because of all. No, these things I know. But when you get to a point where there is nobody, and if you are your own anchor, you're in trouble.
Mm.
Sometime you will get to a point where the only thing that you have left to do is put your hand up and just let him grab your hand as he's passing by. And that has been my superpower. Sometime I haven't wanted it, and sometime I've been, please come by. But definitely I would not have survived without it.
Wow. This broadcast is called Second Chance. And Second Chance
Mm.
was crafted almost 34 years ago as a result of David Person and my conversation about things like we say today. We talk in the context of Zoom family worship about church hurt.
Yep.
And we talk about the fact that just because you are connected to a church, or you claim a knowledge of God, or you pay tithe, you're not immune from life's circumstances and
Correct.
life's issues. And the real test of one's faith is probably not what's happening while they're on the mountain. It's probably what's happening while they're in the valley.
Correct.
And we're all going to have mountaintop experiences, but then we're all going to have valley experiences as well. What does a station like WJOU and a ministry like this and a broadcast like Second Chance mean to you in terms of your own personal journey and experiences?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I remember when this station started in a little bitty garage.
We were just talking about that a little while ago.
Little bit, and if I'm remembering correctly, they either started the year that I came or the year before.
It was, right around there.
This station for me, especially during my accident, and it's so strange because coincidentally, there was this, I don't know if everybody did it, but I know I did. Back in the day when the station started, we would record. I would put a recorder on and just record hours of WJO
WOC.
OCG back then. Just record hours, and I would buy like a whole pack of Memorex tapes and just tape hours and hours. And when I got hurt, those were the tapes I was listening to. It just like they were brand new every day, and I was listening to the same broadcast over and over and over. But it was my connection to life.
Yeah.
It was my connection to life. And as I got better and, started running around and getting into more trouble, I was in a auto shop that equipped your car for sound system. Not Adventist, just a shop. And I would go in there, get my sound system done, sitting, waiting for them to do the work. And I remember one day that a guy came and turned the station. They always had this station on. And he turned the station to test. And I remember the person at the desk said, hey, you can't change that one. You have to go use another one. Let me show you the one you can use. And they came back and changed it.
Wow.
And that is how powerful this station has been for the community, not just for us Oakwoodites.
That's right.
And in hearing that whole exchange, I remember my heart saying, that's right, because this is power.
Yeah. And
you got to leave this on. This is power.
I absolutely love it. Heard and spoken so well by Renee Scruggs. We've got about a minute and a half left. Tell people how they can connect with you, how they can learn more about your journey, how they can learn more about your book.
My book is on Amazon. And when you said author, I'm still trying to get used to that. Yes, my book is on Amazon. It's easiest found if you research it by Renee Scruggs, because there are actually 2 books named Grown. So look up Renee Scruggs and you'll get the right Grown. Most people, even if you don't know me, you've seen me bouncing around somewhere. If you see me in town, just stop. I'm the short lady with the red hair on the crutches that are different than everybody else's. Just stop, say, hey, I want to get your book, or hey, I want to talk to you. And you can also get me at getidfi@gmail.com.
Those are great things. We'll make sure we post that on the link as well today. And, I'm just sitting here and, I've known you forever, and I'm just so inspired, first of all, by the book that you've written. I'm inspired by your journey and your willingness to share that journey. But I'm even more inspired by the fact that a lot of times when people have crises in their life, it takes them out of the process of life. This has moved you deeper into the process of life, and you become a disability advocate and an ally in so many ways, and have helped so many people in the process. That's another stage of the journey, and we'll get a chance to talk about that at a different time. The book is Grown. There it is. Author sitting right over there, Renee Scruggs. She's also willing to come talk to you too. You'd love to come and talk to people about what you're doing in the book and things like that. So Renee, we'll have you back on the show for sure to continue to flesh out some of the themes and thoughts in the book. And in the meantime, though, we'll say thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for letting me share.
Outstanding. We're going to come back in just one quick moment. I'm going to play a short song. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to make sure that it's a really short song, because that way we can come right back with my next guest and make sure that we have lots of good time to talk to you all today. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance. I hope that you're having an amazing and fantastic day.
Let the words of my mouth bring you praise. Let the words that I speak be seasoned with your love and grace. May the things, oh Lord, that I choose to say bring glory, not shame, to your name each day. Let the words of my mouth bring you
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson. As always, delighted to be here with you in the studio. I hope that you're having a good afternoon today. And what a great way to start the broadcast today. My conversation with Renee Scruggs, the author of Grown. And it's subtitled, I love the subtitle, An Unexpected Journey to a Life-Affirming Conclusion. When Life Attacks, What's Your Superpower? Renee will be back at some later time to continue that conversation, and we look forward to making that happen at that time. If you're just joining us, you are part of our fall support drive. Put a praise on it, and it's our opportunity once a year or sometimes twice a year, I believe, to be able to provide valuable support for the station. This is an opportunity for us this particular cycle to raise around $100,000, which we are moving towards in a very powerful and mighty way. Our goal every day is to raise close to $12,000. And right now we have about $8,900 donated for the day. These are not pledges. These are donations. So we're asking you to go to WJOU.org and make your donation. We're also asking you to call us at 256-726-8012. That's 256-726-8012. Or you can come on down to Praise 90.1 FM at 4920 University Square, and you can actually make your donation in person. We'd love to see you come on down and make that donation in person. I've got some challenges out there. $34 for the 34 years that I've been here at WJOU. $42 for the 42 years that Dave has been at WJOU. 45 years. Renee just threw this at us. 45 years since her accident and the journey that she's been on. So you can make a $45 contribution in Renee Scruggs' name. $56. That's the number of the score that the Alabama A&M Bulldogs beat down the Bethune-Cookman University team yesterday at Louis Cruz Stadium right here in Huntsville as a part of the big homecoming event. You can see I'm rocking my Bulldog love today as a Bulldog graduate 1990. And then $150 for A&M's celebrating their 150th anniversary next year. I'm part of that planning committee, and we're looking forward to doing some big things next year. When I walked into the station today, Dave Person challenged me to a $1,000 contribution. I noted that I already do $1,000 every year, but I accepted his challenge, and I'm doing another $1,000 on behalf of this radio station, and I'm challenging 5 other people in the next hour and a half to join me in a $1,000 contribution. I hope that you will meet me there on the contribution opportunity as a consequence of Fall Support Drive 2024. Put a praise on it. I'm looking over to my right over there, and I'm doing something I've not got a chance to do in a very long time. And that is look this person in the face because she hadn't been here for 2.5 years in the studio because we moved away from in-studio guests to virtual guests. But I'm so happy to welcome Kathy Miller back to the studio. Kathy is the Community Impact Director from United Way and, of course, of Madison County. And, of course, she is one of the hardest working, most passionate people about the work that needs to be done for others and compassionate people as it relates to being engaged in other people's lives that I know. And I'm always honored to come alongside her. Kathy, how are you doing this afternoon? Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I even put a post on my Facebook page because I was so excited to come back.
I was excited when I saw that. I said, yay, let's celebrate. So that's
right.
Great to have you back.
That's right. Thank you.
Doesn't mean the work hadn't been done. In fact,
Oh,
that's
no.
why you're here today
Right.
to talk about some of the great work that's been done. And I'm just excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Kenny.
You know, just seeing you gets me excited because the needs assessment is something that is, when I talk about your passion for the community and your love for collaboration and making sure that everyone has a chance to be a participant and everyone understands how to navigate the territory out there. So much of a part of what you do out there every day. The needs assessment that United Way does every few years has been done again.
It has. It
And
has.
this is exciting because we're getting real close to some big news being put out in the
Mhm.
community. And this is a big part of why you're here with us today. First of all, Kathy, tell us what the needs assessment is, just in case people don't know what it is.
Oh,
And then
awesome.
we'll talk about some of the things related
great.
to it.
So those of you that know the local United Way Madison County know that we are very intentional. We don't just throw money off the roof and let it land wherever it's going to land. We're very serious about understanding what the needs are in our community, and not only for our work, but for the whole helping community and the larger community. If we solidly understand what the needs are, then we have great opportunity. We can come together and work on needs that nobody can solve by themselves. And we can champion the voices of people that aren't always heard, Kenny. And so we were able to do that for sure in this needs assessment. And I have to give a shout out. You've been shouting out to the Bulldogs. I'm going to do that too, because we had a beautiful group, as we always do. We always have an entity that is a research entity that is independent of United Way. And that always makes our study much better.
Yeah.
And it is just what the name says, it is a chance to evaluate what the needs are, look at every piece of hard factual data we can find from the U.S. Census, Department of Labor, Public Health, anywhere else we can find it. We go talk to the school systems, and all of that gets pulled together. And then on top of that, we go out and listen to the voice of our community. And we had more than 1,000 people talk to us through this process.
It is, I would imagine, extremely not just important, but valuable to have an inclusive process as it relates to gathering this kind of information. It would be very easy for an organization to dive into the pool and start swimming laps without acknowledging that there may be other people swimming laps too. So how can we swim laps in a more cohesive, strategic, and intentional way? And I imagine that's a little bit of why that's so exciting to have this feedback from so many different groups of people, and why you sort of start out that way. It's not like an afterthought to bring people into the process. You kind of move into this knowing that we're going to be engaging a lot of different people. Talk about that mindset and what value that has to your results.
Wow. So, Kenny, the biggest thing I think is that we do not just invite friends, people that happen to know us and people that we know. We advertise this, honestly. We said everybody's voice has value. And we had help from A&M because they actually took flyers out and put them on windshields at Walmarts and places like that, places where we might not encounter people. We went to our faith community and said, please talk to your congregations. We went to social groups. We went to people that may be seen as minority populations in our community and said, please encourage your people that you're close to raise their voice. And it's almost, Kenny, it's not magic, it's science, but it's very amazing to see when that data comes in. We start to see some indicators of what the greatest needs and greatest challenges might be. And then that voice of the community comes in. And sometimes we hear something different. And sometimes we hear something that is very confirming of what we hear in the data. So I'll give you a great example of that. So a lot of people were talking about housing because we all know that that's a big deal in a fast growing community, and not so much that we have a ton of people that are comfortable having trouble finding housing. Our real estate folks are doing a great job with that, but that we have folks in the middle of not staying in public housing, not any other really transitional housing or shelters or anything like that. But we've got working people that are in this gap where there's not a lot of available housing for them as the cost of housing's gone up. And that's squeezed in our teachers. I had a superintendent tell me that someone decided not to come and work in our community because they couldn't afford to live here.
Wow.
And we hear that across the country, we're one of the most affordable places. And for sure, in some contexts, that's still true. But housing is a really good example of that. And then we also heard something really interesting, that especially among our voices that were in the focus groups, I think it was, we heard that some people were starting to be more concerned about environmental issues. And we had never heard that before, but it was noted because we believed that voices in our community, maybe not United Way, we don't work directly in that place. We're helping people for the most part. But how would that relate to people? You know, affordable utility bills, good example. You know, a more efficient, energy efficient house is going to have lower bills. But that'll be somebody else to look at the study and go, oh, we need to pay attention to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I can't help but the housing piece, which is like it's like that big one. I tell people all the time in my work with the city, I'm out talking about how people can collaborate better and how people can get connected in ways to find out information. And two things kept popping up every time that happened. It was housing and transportation. Like, yeah, I know about collaborating, but I want to know about housing. You know, I know about working together with other people, but what about that transportation? And so you know that these things are going to bubble up as a consequence of that, which I think is one of the most valuable things about this needs assessment, because it provides a platform for a cohesive response to some of these common challenges and issues that people face. I know there were other high-level things that came out of this process, and I was hoping you would share some of those with us.
Just a few. We're not going to go through the whole thing.
Going to wet the whistle so that people know there's more coming.
That's right. That's right. So the good news is, Kenny, that, and I'm just going to hold this up so everybody can see it. This executive summary is already on our webpage.
And that page is?
It is uw-madisoncounty.org. It's at the bottom of the homepage, but also if you search for impact, which we love people to go and look at the impact page, then it also is there. It's about 14 pages. And so you'll get a high level, and many people, that's all they want to see. There will be a huge report, probably over 100 pages, that will be published in the coming weeks, so that the helping people, our local governments, anybody else that likes data, you know, a lot of people like data in this community, they can dig into it and see. But I will mention a few things that were really critical. It's interesting because United Way is in the middle of 100% of what we call the consensus items, where the voice of the community and the data agree with a big voice. And that's very exciting because that means that your United Way has been paying attention to these things all along. And now we have some validation so we can draw people together. So let's hear just a few. I'm just going to pick two out of each area.
All right. That sounds good.
Knowing that they are connected.
All right.
So in education, we continue to hear about the importance of early childhood education and a safe place for children to stay while their parents are going to work, because it's extremely expensive these days. Some people tell me that it might even be more expensive than sending your child to school when you look at the hourly rate.
Wow.
And so that's a scary thing. And we don't have enough childcare providers in this community. And we've got some great high quality childcare that's happening in this community. We're excited that our chamber is also working on that from a workforce perspective. Our friends out at the Toyota plant are doing some very innovative things. So it's great that we see some attention already to that. And then this was really interesting to me because this came out with a smaller voice last time. But so many people told us that they needed to know what was out there in terms of help. As much as many of us know a lifeline called 211,
Right.
not everybody in the community, especially our newcomers, maybe people that are coming here from another place, may not know about it. And so we're going to pay attention to that and make sure that we find innovative, collaborative ways to get that to be a louder voice, because we don't want anybody, Kenny, to be suffering in the community and think there's nothing out there to help them when there really are great resources to assist.
That's right. That's right.
So in education, those fail. Of course, we mentioned housing, but this was curious. We live in a community where only about 11% of folks are labeled living technically by the federal definition in poverty. And yet food insecurity, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it's not hunger per se as much as it is that you, with what you have coming into your household, you cannot feed all the mouths in your household throughout the month. Maybe you're waiting to get a paycheck and you run out of paycheck before you need to stop feeding family. Maybe even with getting food stamps.
Oh, yeah.
And so food insecurity rose up a level from where it's been before.
Wow.
And that's really a starting place for us to have those conversations, because that is the exciting thing about this needs assessment, that we think I'm going almost done with the study, but then the work really begins.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. And then in health, mental health screamed, as you and I have talked about before, in many ways, both with children and youth and also adults, but also just that affordability and access to health care that is a nationwide issue.
Yes.
And we've got lots of community organizations we love in our family, the Heals Clinic and the New Hope Children's Clinic, because they are stepping in to that need. But we heard a lot of conversations, and I wish that you and everybody else listening today had been able to sit in on those focus groups, because they were rich listening environments where people were heard. Maybe for what they thought was a rare time, because we're running all the time, Kenny, and we just don't take time to stop and listen. And I'm so proud that United Way does that on a regular basis.
You know, the answer to so much of this, to me, is something that you alluded to, and that's innovation. That's people being able to think outside the box of tradition or what is clearly evident in front of them and saying, well, this is all we have. But you referenced the Toyota plant and their innovative way about going about childcare. I know other companies are kind of looking at ways of doing that too, but that's part of it, being aware of the need and then what can we do about it? So that innovation piece, I think, really kind of is worthy of attention as it relates to companies, but also thought about collaboration and what you all have done so consistently and perhaps will begin doing more of in terms of exposure. I drove past a bus stop the other day, a bus shelter, and I saw the 211 sign. And I was like, wow, I remember when that started. And to see those signs there, even if it's a starting point, is an awesome thing to know that the city, the municipality, has wrapped itself around this need that exists out there that can connect with everyday regular people who may not have traditional access to certain types of information, but yet they go to the bus stop. And there it is. That might be the answer for them. So as you talk about that 201 being elevated, the need to know what's out there, what it provides, this has to be very exciting because it affirms in one sense, here's what we thought might be going on. Here's some things we didn't quite know, but we see some better understanding. And now here's, like you said, the real work begins. So what is the real work?
Wow. That's a big, monstrous question. Do we have 3 hours? No.
You want to give us the cliff notes?
That's right. We will. So one of the things, Kenny, that I'm very excited about, and I'll trust Daniel Kassenberry, our CEO, to talk more with the community about it as it rolls out. But we have decided that transformation has to come alongside what we're doing. Community transformation. And that element of that is innovation. And so we've already, just as a snapshot and a beginning, we've already convened community leaders, and we had a beautifully diverse group of people there who raised their hand and said, "We're in." And that was so exciting because we've not seen that level of collaboration in this community. And as we've grown and started to feel those growing pains and those challenges that every city has faced that has grown like we have a chance, Kenny, to go a different path. We sent somebody to the moon, so we have the think power, we have the innovative minds and the strategists. This is not going to all come out of United Way.
Yeah, that's right.
This is going to come out of us coming together and listening to each other and going, that's a fantastic idea. I have a tiny little example of one that just popped up this last week. I love this. So my friend Alex Forsyth has taken on herself, just a grassroots volunteer in the community, to set up some along with churches and some neighborhoods, to set up some My Little food pantries alongside My Little libraries, which many of you guys may know about.
Yeah.
And it's just a little box, just like the My Little libraries, but it has non-perishable food in it.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that brilliant?
Wow.
And so she and I were chatting on Facebook the other day, and I said, we don't have as many people knowing about Single Care, our drug discount program that saves people on the cost of prescription meds at the counter and has helped probably to the tune of almost $500,000 last year. We have not fed everybody that needs that, Kenny. And I said, can we put them in the pantries? And she said, yes. And so that's the kind of energy that we'll see, not on that tiny scale, but we'll see that energy on that high scale with community leaders.
Wow.
And that is so exciting to dream about, that I'm a dreamer, Kenny. And I've been a little impatient sometimes with the process of us getting to the place where we're doing a better job of taking care of everybody, giving everybody a place to belong.
Yeah.
And this is such great opportunity for us to do just that.
Wow. And to speak to and affirm just that whole notion of community transformation, hey, that's how it happens. It's not necessarily going to be this huge thing that happens and the community goes, wow, look at this thing that's changing the world. It's going to be these small ways in which it just creates energy in a particular space. And that energy then begins to expand and touch other parts of the community in ways that literally changes the lives of people that live there. And that's powerful. We got our support drive going right now, put a praise on it. And of course, we're real excited here at WJLU. It's an opportunity to go to the next level in terms of broadcasting and making this information available for so many people. In my mind, I see WJLU as being part of the answer to getting the word out more.
Okay.
We partnered with you for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Through United Way Sunday and more. What does, to people listening out there right now, we're asking people to make a contribution and things of that nature. To people listening right now, what would you say to them as a listener who benefits from this experience and wants to really kind of hear from someone who's been in the process, who's not, an associate here or an employee here?
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So let me just clarify what you're asking. I think you're asking, okay, so how can everyday people who are listening, get plugged into this transformation? Is that what you're asking?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
And then what's the role of this station in doing something?
Oh, okay. All right. So I know that we need to do a better job of communicating with our media when we have news and when we have calls to action. So PSAs, every news station has to do, whether they're TV or radio, has to do PSAs. So we need to do a better job of taking that out from under the bushel basket and getting it out there so people are more aware. It's part of that awareness piece that we heard.
Yeah.
So I know that you guys can take PSAs from us and that we need to do it. We actually have a communications intern this semester from UAH.
Yeah.
And we're very excited because she's written a PSA for this that will be coming out when the big report comes out.
Awesome.
And so that kind of thing is certainly practical, way that we can. Everyday people can get informed and educated because then you can become an advocate. And like we are going to start back up with our 211 ambassador training, which is a perfect example of that. We let everyday people raise their hand and come in and learn for an hour what 211 is. And then we say, where are you going to share it? And they'll be so innovative, Kenny, of things that they'll come up with about where they can share it. And then those people go out and share with people we'll never touch or we will never encounter.
Yeah.
So that's another way people can be advocates. They can volunteer. We are the home of the Volunteer Center of Madison County. I want to grow an army of volunteers because our resource development people have a great team of loan executives, but they need more.
Yeah.
If you've done that before in our community, call us, and get involved in that way. We've convened almost 60 community impact volunteers to help us figure out our response to this in next year. And we do have a few more slots, so people can talk to me about that. We thank you, Kenny, you and Ms. Acosta from UAH, because several years ago you helped us develop a diversity survey that we then do as a baseline with all our returning volunteers, and then we recruit to make sure we're representing our entire community. I just had to throw that in. Thank you. But also, WJOU can come to the table. Have a representative reach out to Mr. Casambera and say, we'd like to be more involved if that is what leadership wants to do. We want people to come and have some muscle behind it, and maybe you guys have the answer that we don't have.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I would encourage folks to do that. Here's the other thing, Kenny, that I'm learning so much about. We all as human beings think from our own perspective. And we've got to put our folks that are hurting, are people that are going to Manor House for the first time. People are calling for rent and utility assistance because they've never had to ask. I can't tell you how many times somebody said to me this year, I've never done this before. And so that whole working people above the poverty line that are struggling, we've got to have those folks in mind in the center and to get away from us all thinking from our own perspective, because that'll get in the way of us working together on these solutions. If we are still primarily thinking what's in it for me, we got to be thinking what's in it for our community.
Yeah. Wow. That is a very comprehensive, I think, beginning for people to consider. You said a lot of things in there that a lot of people listening to you can actually take and try to ask the question, okay, what's next for me? And maybe that's reaching out to look up the website and reach out to Kathy. We're going to give you a chance to learn about that in just a moment. But just that whole notion of how a station like WJOU and others who might be listening out there can partner with United Way, which covers a lot of territory and covers a lot of people. Not all encompassing, but they do the work that they do on their footprint. And this is why we've had that partnership for some time now. And this is why your ability to donate to us at 256-8012, that's 256-726-8012, or to just check in at the website at WJOU.org and make your contribution. And we will make sure that that donation is poured into our vision for the station to do more and do it in ways that can be beneficial on behalf of the community and support organizations like United Way. Kathy, it looks like we got about 30 seconds or less, but I'm going to give you whatever time you need to tell us how people can reach you.
Okay. They can go to our website, uwmadisoncounty.org. That's very important to use that one, because if you visit the web and search for United Way of Madison County, you might go to Indiana.
We don't want that.
No. Call us unless you live in Indiana.
Yeah, and you might be listening.
That's right.
Sorry, Indiana. You might be listening out there today.
That's right. You can call us at 256-536-0745 and speak to our amazing person that sits at the front desk, our receptionist, Stuart. Yeah. And he can guide your phone call to the right place.
And Kathy just made a good point. We are national, we're international today. If you're listening and there's an opportunity, if you get plugged in, if you're not already plugged into United Way, this is a prompt. This is a suggestion to do the homework and find out how you can get plugged in.
That's right, because they probably have done some sort of needs assessment and evaluation. They're experts ready to serve you in our own communities. And so we absolutely want to do that. Visit us on Facebook, like our Facebook page, go like Praise and us at the same time if you have done that. And also we're on LinkedIn, pretty active on LinkedIn. If you're a business, that business to business relationship is important.
Yes.
We want to be as available as we can to folks. There's even now a Tennessee Valley 211 Facebook page.
Oh.
And you can email info@uwmadisoncounty.org if you'd like to communicate to us. Or if you go to that website, there's a place where you can send us a message. So lots of
ways to get plugged in, get the information that you
Mhm.
need, and carry the conversation forward. Kathy Miller is one of the most important people that you'll ever meet because she's about the community. And if you have a similar passion and a similar heart, she's somebody that you need to know. You can reach her at the United Way of Madison County. She's got all kinds of ways to get plugged in, and she's the Community Impact Director. We thank her for being here, as always, in the studio.
Yay,
This is
I
big
know.
deal, Kathy.
I have one more thing to say. Can
Yeah,
I love
sure.
this. I've been talking to people in the community. Our social service sector, United Way, our folks that are working with us as partners, all of us need brilliant people volunteering. In some cases, staffing. We're not hiring right now, but a lot of people are. If you're coming here with a spouse or a partner who doesn't have to work, please send them to us.
Yeah.
Because this work that we've been talking about today is going to take lots of hands and hearts.
Yes.
And we can help you find what fits you.
Yes. And more than willing to. Lots of opportunities. Kathy, always good to talk to you. And I look
Thank
forward
you.
to our next opportunity to chat.
I do too. Thank you, Kenny.
All right. That's Kathy Miller. She's the Community Impact Director for United Way of Madison County. We're going to make a short transition here in just a moment. And while we let you know who we are and while we're doing what we're doing, we will let you know that we're very thankful that you've chosen to be with us on this very special day. It is a big day for us. Put a praise in it fall support drive. You can make your contribution 256-726-8012. I'm going to once again offer those challenges in just a few moments as we have quite a few of them out there now. And we want you to definitely take advantage of them. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance. I hope that you're having an absolutely amazing and fantastic day.
Why do we praise 90.1 FM? Because the blessing is in the praise. Filling your day with songs of praise on Praise 90.1 FM.
Is there any way that I can make it? Seems I've got so far to go. Though it may not be easy, I have this assurance that you promised always to see me through. Every turn a new beginning, something never dealt with before. There I am in the midst of a storm, and I cry, Lord, I just want to die, Lord. Then I fall, Lord, right back in your loving arms. Seeing each mountain I have climbed, carry me right on through. Some tears and some pain, but I'm going on just the same. God, you promised to be with me through the God, you are my everything.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the Second Chance radio broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson. As always, delighted to be here with you on Sunday afternoons, typically from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, but this is a very special Sunday. It is our fall support drive, and we, of course, are excited to have you as part of our listening audience. We're asking you over the next few days to put a praise on it, which means that you stand with us, you are aligned with us, and you support us in our effort to take this station to the next level. Among the things that we're looking to do over the next few weeks and months as a result of a very successful fundraising event, we want to move to 33 watts of power. So by increasing the power, we'll be able to increase the distance that we can touch people in different states. We want to have a 5 state-of-the-art HD studios and equipment, so upgrading all of our studios to HD quality, delivering a clear, crisp digital signal, which, of course, will improve the audio quality so that you'll never have those drops and those other kinds of crazy things that can happen in a broadcast. And then we want to increase the available stations to 4 WJOUs, which will allow for very creative and unique programming. And we hope that you will join us in that effort. Now, how can you join us? I've been giving out lots of challenges today, and I'm going to give those challenges one more time because I know everybody listening out there can help us. I'm looking for this little photo of a young girl that came up to the station several years ago. She came up with her mom. And of course, when she came in the station, we wanted to know why she was here. And she said, I want to make a donation to WJOU. A little child shall lead them, folks. And we want to make sure that not only you, but also our young people have a chance to support WJOU as well. So if you'd like to come by the station this afternoon, we're at 4920 University Square. You can certainly come on up and see us. You can go to WJOU.org and make your donation online, or you can call 256-726-8012. And after the normal show ends today at 4 o'clock, I'm going to stay over for another hour to be able to play music and also share information about how you can support us. So my challenges this afternoon are as follows. $34 for the 34 years that I've been here as a volunteer at WJOU. That's one donation that you might consider making. Second one, my good friend David Person was here this morning, and he spent about an hour with me. David has been with the station for 42 years, so you might want to consider making a $42 donation. My other good friend, Renee Scruggs, was my first guest today. Renee, of course, had a terrible car accident 45 years ago, and she has just written a book called Grown. The book is subtitled An Unexpected Journey to a Life-Affirming Conclusion When Life Attacks. What's your superpower? We had a great conversation with her earlier. She challenged the audience to make a $45 donation on behalf of her 45-year journey to recovery and thriving beyond her wildest imagination when she was injured as a young 18-year-old many, many years ago and lost a leg. $56. Yeah, I know. A&M Bulldogs are feeling pretty good right now, and I happen to be a Bulldog. I have dual citizenship as an ambassador here at Oakwood, but I'm also a graduate of Alabama A&M, so this was my homecoming weekend for Alabama A&M. Yeah, we put it on those Bethune-Cookman University. See, what is their name? I forgot the name of their team. We beat them so bad, 56-12. So if you want to make a contribution this afternoon in the amount of $56 to symbolize that beatdown on yesterday, you can go ahead and do that. And then, of course, A&M is celebrating its 150th anniversary next year. I'm part of the 150th anniversary committee. And so we're planning lots and lots of different things for next year leading up until homecoming and graduation and so much more next year. It's going to be a really big year next year for Alabama A&M University if you'd like to make a donation of $150. And then to remind people that as I walked into the studio this afternoon at about 12:45, my good friend David Person couldn't leave well enough alone. He looked at me, he acknowledged the fact that I'm a recent retiree, but he challenged me to make a $1,000 donation. So I accepted that $1,000 challenge. And I also said that I am looking for 5 other people in the next hour to match my $1,000 donation on behalf of, once again, the work that we do at this station, the effort that we're making to improve the quality of the services that we provide, and so much more. So lots and lots of ways that you can accept our challenge. There's nothing too small and certainly nothing too large to be able to work through this process of collaborating with us on this very special fall support drive. Once again, you can call us at 256-726-8012. That's the number to call this afternoon, 256-726-8012, or you can check us out on the internet at WJOU.org. We got people listening locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally this afternoon. I see you all in the Facebook Live feed. What's going on, y'all? I see the shout outs and people that are listening, people that are watching, people that are tuning in. Thank you for doing so and being a part of our afternoon. Also want to acknowledge our good friends at the Microwave Dave Music Education Foundation. They are kicking off their big 10th annual Microwave Dave Day right now, 3:00 p.m. over at the Lumberyard. And I hope that you can find your way over that way. That's just such a great organization doing great stuff in terms of not providing great music in the community, but music education for our Huntsville City school systems. And we, of course, are very proud to have that happen. We have a segment once a quarter called Cadence Bank Presents, where Cadence Bank representatives and others, partners and allies, come in and share information about various aspects of the work that they do in the financial market. Joining me today in the studio for the first time in a very long time, Teresa Leslie, a community development lender with Cadence Bank. Teresa, welcome back to the studio.
Thank you, Kenny. Glad to be here.
It's good to have you. Say that one more time.
I said, thank you, Kenny. Okay, there you go. It's good to be here. And I also want to say congratulations to you on your retirement.
You're smiling more than I am. That's a good thing. That's affirmation for me.
That's a nice milestone to accomplish.
It's a huge milestone. People are still asking me, what are you going to do? I'll do whatever I want to do. I'm retired. Don't have any plan. I just want to do whatever I want to do. Let it come to me as it comes to me. I'm not vegetating at home. I've been out strategically, but I'm not out on any other agenda except my own. And that's the difference. And so I'm having the time of my life in that particular space. Curtis Kruger's with us today. He's the CEO of the Huntsville Area Association of Realtors, also known as HAR. How you doing, Curtis?
Hey, Kenny, how are you? Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
I'm doing great. You smiling like you're happy for my retirement too.
Well, retirement, I'm just so jealous. I'll probably die at my desk, so I'm going to live vicariously through you. That's all right.
Perfectly fine. I love the jacket, by the way. Very, very beautiful jacket.
Thank you, sir.
And those that are watching can see Curtis rocking the jacket back here. I mean, that's a nice jacket. I love it. Listen, guys, I always love having these kinds of conversations because whether we're talking about financial literacy, whether we're talking about credit repair or credit management, or whether we're talking about home ownership, which is a very common conversation that we have on this show, it's a good time to talk about these things. And this is probably a good time, too, because there are indications in the financial markets that things are moving in the right direction for people that want to own homes. And I'm always interested in knowing about what's happening on the ground here. People listening all over the world today, but let's talk about the process or the status of where we are right now in terms of the housing market. How volatile is it right now? Have things eased up a little bit? Is this a good time to go for it? Teresa, what say you?
So what I will say is it's always a great time to buy a house. I never tell anyone not to.
You do say that.
Yes. Marry the house, not the rate. A lot of feedback on rate environment is what I'm hearing. When Kamala Harris entered the race for presidency, rates dropped. Let me scoot over some more. Can you hear me okay? Rates dropped. They went down a little bit. And people were expecting that to continue. When the Fed went on and lowered their rates by 0.5%, mortgage rates didn't necessarily drop like that. We are influenced by the Fed rates, but what you will see a change in is if you have a home equity line of credit or CD or bank rates and things like that, directly affected by the Fed rate because it's tied to prime. If you've ever heard of prime. So when Fed rates dropped, prime dropped. So if you got a HELOC that was at 11%, it may have went down to 10.5%, but not so much so for our fixed 30-year rate loans. So I will say right now we're averaging about 6.25% on conventional products. I was telling Curtis out here that there is an awesome program with the state of Alabama, which is called a step-up program, and it's 5.25%.
Really?
5.25%. And so
what's the qualification for that program?
you do not have to be a first-time home buyer.
Oh.
The qualifications are not bad. I mean, you can own a home, and it will offer you up to 100% financing. So I did a young man here recently. We did a USDA loan, no money down, and then we did the $10,000 second to cover the closing costs. So there are options at 5.25%. So there are some nice features out there, products that are available, but the rate market is still not coming where people think it should be. I mean, I think we got spoiled with the 3%, the 3.5%. People thought that was normal, and it really was not.
Right.
Money is not always that cheap. That was just, who knew we were going to have a pandemic, okay?
Right.
So, I'll let Curtis speak to him more about the pricing and things that's
Yeah.
going on in the market, but, I mean, we're holding steady in the fives.
Yeah.
I love this conversation about rates. I think it's really important to keep in mind that 3% that so many people, I mean, the younger generation, they don't know anything else. But for the vast majority of the time, this country's been operating in that way. Those rates were never that low.
Yeah.
And I mean, 16% rates, 12% rates, 7% rates. We saw that all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in brokerage. My family's been in brokerage for 50 years.
Yeah.
And I remember when my brother got a 9% rate, we went out for drinks. I mean, I'm just saying that, there's another perspective on this.
Right.
When rates are artificially suppressed at 3%,
Mm.
the fact that we are looking at a new normal of 6%, that's a reasonable adjustment. And we just have to figure out the ways to be able to help our communities be able to deal with the shift that we just had.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always say, if you're interested in buying a home, and I echo Teresa on this, anytime you think you're ready to buy a home is the right time to buy a home.
Hmm.
And you just need to find yourself a qualified lender who you trust that's going to guide you through the process. They're going to be able to give you all that information that there's no chance for you to be able to dig up on your own
Yeah.
like an expert.
Yeah.
And you need to find a qualified realtor.
Yeah. You know, buying a home is not like a roll of the dice. It never has been, regardless of what the rates have been. I mean, there's a certain protocol that has to be applied to that process in order for someone to be successful in that particular space. So, you know, getting excited about a lower rate on an interest is not where people's mindset should be. The mindset should really be about how do they manage their credit? How do they, you know, what assets and liabilities are on the table, and all the other kinds of things. What is the number that you're looking at in terms of what's affordable for you, and how much house do you need or want? You know, I mean, it's all these other things that really make that a much wiser choice than just saying I'm gonna chase the interest rate.
Right.
Which again goes back to what you said earlier about how when you're ready to do it, it's a good time to do it, but you really have to have your ducks in a row. And the interest rate is something that may favor you in some way, but it's not the main thing you need to look at.
It's interesting you say that, Kenny, because we have been conditioned that way to just look at rates.
Yeah.
The process really is much more important than just the rate. Buying a house, I've said this before, is not like buying a car. It is a process. As a matter of fact, I will put out there the first quarter of the year is when we start putting out grant money. This year, we were able to give up $20,000 per customer to apply towards their closing costs and down payment.
Which is significant.
It is. But we want people to start planning for that now and not wait till first quarter to decide you want to buy a home. So now is the time to get pre-qualified. Let me look at your credit. Let me look at your income. Let me look at your assets. Let me see where you are. So when that money becomes available, you're first in line because it is a first come, first serve basis.
Yeah.
So that means you got to be ready to go.
Yeah.
You can't be getting ready to go.
Yeah.
You have to be ready to go.
Yeah.
So the process is much more important than the rate. Rates come and go. You can always refinance. Don't marry the rate, but you need to know the process and what to expect when you start this.
Got a lot of people coming to Huntsville. I mean, the number sometimes I hear is 250 people a month, 300 a month. I mean, there's a lot of people moving into the community. Does that increase the amount of attention that a HAR gets? I mean, are your realtors just seeing a commensurate number of people based on the people that are moving in looking for homes?
So that is sort of the function of success. You have a supercharged economy here in Huntsville, and the certainly the politicians that have been involved in stewarding this city have focused a lot on that growth. And that growth, when you're successful, it draws and creates new jobs, and those jobs pull in new people. And so we're looking at maybe 50,000 more people to be in Huntsville by 2030. So, you know, do some quick math there on, I mean, it's a lot of people. And so I've come from markets that have seen influxes like this before. And I mean, it does drive up home prices because when you have an inventory problem and more people are coming in, that $200,000 to $300,000, that level of home ownership, that's our challenge, you know, to make things attainable and affordable. But certainly we're seeing it at HAR, that these numbers are very impactful. And my concern is always, what are we doing for that lowest tier? What are those strategies? And the answer is always partnership. How are we collaborating with the city and the counties? How are we working together with organizations, Habitat for Humanity? I mean, you name it. Everybody should be linking arms on this to be able to make sure that we can address that lower tier that's so important.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out to Habitat. I'm on the board, so anytime there's a Habitat reference, I get excited about that because that's important.
I just joined you on the board, Kenny.
Oh, did you? I better
You're
pay
not
attention.
retired. I thought you were retired.
It's the only one I rolled off for 3 this year, and that's the only one. Jeremy, it's a long story. Jeremy's my guy, so Jeremy, stop! You're my guy. I can't say no to you. But anyway, I wanted to ask this follow up question, Curtis, and then I'm going to come back to Teresa. I'm going to ask you the same question. I want you to try to be as objective as possible. You referenced this earlier. Finding a good realtor is important. What makes a good realtor?
Well, there's a lot of things. First of all, in normal, any kind of agency situation with anyone, you don't necessarily have, if you go into a car lot, for example, to buy a car, that person doesn't have a fiduciary relationship with you. That person is out for the dealership. Now, I'm not saying anything about that. That's fine. That's how that's set up. But a realtor, and not a real estate agent, but a realtor who belongs to the National Association, has to follow a code of ethics, and they take an oath, and their fiduciary is to the client. And so when you have someone in brokerage whose absolute commitment is to your best interests, and there's licensure behind that. In other words, they'll be penalized and removed. Their license can be taken away for that to not be the case. That's a significant comfort for a buyer who comes in and is wondering, are they just trying to get a sale? Are they, so I would say one of the biggest things is the oath of ethics, and that the licensing backs that up. There's a million other things that a realtor can do for a client.
Sure.
They can put you in touch with your team of lender, attorney, inspectors, all of those things. They can peel back the layers of what's confusing about the process. I mean, you think about somebody who does it every single day. If you were going to go do something, be interested in purchasing something or get involved in something that you didn't know anything about, would you want to consult someone who did it every single day and was an expert on that?
Absolutely.
So I think there's a lot of things, from the transaction flow to the connections that person has with industry companions. I would say just the process of the paperwork, the search. I mean, ValleyMLS.com has that type of search capability, the MLS, the access to that information, but the expertise of many years in brokerage and helping that person work with the appropriate partners on the lending side, like Teresa, to find these programs to help solve a problem and know what the challenges are. And because they've solved them for others, they can solve them for you too.
And Teresa, what makes a good lender?
And a lot of what he said, we are licensed agents. Each year we have to do 8 hours of continuing education to stay abreast of things that are going on in the market. We take you in, we do a consultation. It's one-on-one. We listen to your needs and what it is that because everybody's situation is different. Everybody can't be thrown in a bucket and financed the same way. So we break it down to your individual needs. And to me, someone who hears your concerns and what you're wanting, if you want money down, or if you want a lower payment, or if you want a lower rate, or whatever your need is, what are you looking for? That's what we try and cater to. So,
and I think that's an important question for both of you, because again, you're doing the work that you do, and a lot of people see you out there doing the work that you do. But how do you somehow make a distinction between people doing the work? It's a common work, but how do I know that this person is better than this person, even beyond just a reference or a recommendation? And so there is some homework that the buyer should do as far as that process is concerned, in order to make sure they land in the sweet spot that they need to land in order to have a successful outcome in that process. And if a realtor doesn't work out, just like you said, the situation with the car dealer is fiduciary, because that person's trying to make that sale, and that's a pretty direct shot right there when that's happening. If I start to work with a realtor, and there's something that doesn't fit with that process, that person, I can move to another person, can I?
Well, I mean, in the situation where you're working with someone, those concerns certainly should be discussed. But before that process ever begins, you should interview.
Yeah.
You should interview. I think it's really important to kind of understand that there's a great chemistry in any situation,
Mhm.
somebody that you feel comfortable working with, that you get a great feeling from.
Mhm.
They're talking about you know, is the realtor asking you about you?
Mm.
That's a great way to start.
Mhm.
So in that initial interview where you say, look, I'm interested in these things, does the realtor start asking you questions about you and what you want, what you're looking for, and what's important to you in a home and why?
Mm.
And are they focusing on the psychology of the purchase, or are they just talking numbers
Mm.
and throwing a bunch of stats at you?
Mm.
And it's press hard 5 copies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like any other industry. Everybody comes in all different,
Yeah.
types of way that they manage their business.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure that you're really comfortable with that person from the outset.
Yeah. I love it.
And then, you won't be surprised.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. It's great advice. We're out of time, so I want to make sure that people know how to get connected to you if they want more information. Of course, we do this Cadence Bank focus once a quarter, so Teresa, Rod, or somebody will be back at some point. We're almost like we have to be virtually in order to have Rod. But I'm gonna tell Rod. I'm gonna reach out to Rod. Rod, I got your phone number, your cell number. So now I'm gonna have your physical presence. And I don't care where you live, you're gonna have to come into the studio.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I'm gonna holler at him because I miss him. Teresa, how would people get in touch with you to find out more about services that you provide and the abilities that you have to support people on this journey?
So the best way is to reach me at 2 ways. My cell phone number, which is one number. I don't carry an office phone in a personal, just one number, 256-337-9636. Or you can go to my website, which is myname.com, Teresa.com, Teresa with an H.
All right. And Curtis, how would people reach out to you to find out more about the services that you provide through HAR?
I love that Teresa.com vibe. I'm thinking about maybe doing something like that for myself. I do not have Curtis.com, but I'm going to be doing some work when I get in the car. Let me tell you. No, the best place to find out more information about what we do and what services and programs we have is at HAAR, HAAR.realtor. And you can certainly find me on the staff page.
All right, fantastic. Curtis Kruger is the CEO of HAR, the Huntsville Area Association of Realtors. Teresa Leslie is community development lender with the great Cadence Bank. Some of my favorite people in the whole wide world. My good friend Penny Billings over there leading the charge.
Speaking of, so I had a conversation with Penny on the way over, and Cadence is committing to $250 pledge. So I challenge any business out there that's been touched by Second Chance to at least give $250 pledge in appreciation for what the show has done for you.
Well, Penny is just that person.
She
And
is.
Penny, thank you so much for your support. We have another challenge out there now. If you've got a business out there, you have a business relationship with Kenny Anderson, or you have another business relationship with, and we're talking 40 years now, folks. There's a lot of you out there, and I know who you are. $250 pledge to match the pledge by Cadence Bank, one of our favorite people in the whole wide world. We hope that you'll do that this afternoon. 256-726-8012, or you can do it online. No hassle, no problem, very easy. You can do it at WJU.org.
I will match that pledge.
Oh, well now, Curtis, you can come on the show anytime you want. Talking like that, dude. I mean, all sharp and everything, too. Curtis, thank you so much for your support. We appreciate that. Thank you both for being here today, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment with more of the broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson, the Second Chance. I hope that you're having a fantastic and amazing afternoon.
Just as I am without one plea, one but that thy blood was shed for me, and that thou bidst me come to thee.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope that you're having a great Sunday afternoon. I know that I am. I've literally been here now since 1 o'clock, sitting right here in this seat, having the time of my life as part of the 2024 Fall Support Drive for WJLU, one of my favorite stations in the whole wide world. We're having a very special event that will last through next Sunday. It's called Put a Praise on It. It is our opportunity to be able to raise money to support the station moving into the 21st century, like for real. We're already there, but we want to do some improvements, some enhancements. We want to go to 33,000 watts so that the broadcast can be pushed out even more. We want to go through HD broadcasting in all 5 of our state-of-the-art studios. You want to go to 4 WJLU stations so that we can have specific programming that goes out not just through this mechanism, but through 4 additional stations. And we want to make sure that you always have good audio quality as a consequence of tuning in to 90.1 FM. I want to thank Teresa Leslie with Cadence Bank and Curtis Kruger, CEO of Huntsville Area Association of Realtors, for being a part of our conversation just a few moments ago. I want to remind you about our challenges today that are part of the support drive that's taking place right now. Our call line, 256-726-8012. We're looking for you to make that call right now, folks. 256-726-8012. I would almost say I can't keep going with the show until I hear that phone ringing, but the phone is down the hallway. So I'm just going to, by faith, claim and assume that it's ringing right now because you're making that call at 256-726-8012. I'm also going to say that there are people who are logging on right now at WJLU.org because you want to make sure that you make your pledge and your commitment this afternoon. I've been with the station here as a volunteer for 34 years, so we have invited people and challenged people to make a $34 contribution. My good friend David Person, who was with me from 1 o'clock until 2 o'clock today, has been with the station for 42 years, and so he challenged people to make a $42 donation. Much of that for him was as a volunteer. A lot of it was. Renee Scruggs joined us, our good friend Renee, talking about her brand new book called Grown. And we're celebrating her success, but also how God has brought her along the way. So many years, 45 years now since that incredible accident that could have easily taken her life. It took her leg, but it did not take her heart. And it certainly didn't take her soul or her spirit. And we're so happy. Renee has challenged everyone $45 to celebrate what God has done for her over these years. Of course, the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. I have dual citizenship, folks. So don't trip now. I know I'm at WJLU. And I was an ambassador first, but then I transitioned over to Alabama A&M to get my master's degree. So I have dual citizenship, and I have the privilege of being able to celebrate 2 homecoming weekends. And this weekend, of course, was homecoming for the Bulldogs. Yes, we beat the Bethune-Cookman University football team yesterday, 56-12. So in honor of that huge victory yesterday, if you're part of Bulldog Nation or you support the Bulldogs, maybe you want to consider making a $56 donation. And I'm part of the 150th anniversary committee. We're celebrating 150 years of Alabama A&M University on next year. Lots of big programming planned as a consequence of that. And we're inviting you to make a $150 donation. As I shared earlier, I walked in the studio at 1:45. And what happens as soon as I get in the studio? David Person challenges me to make a $1,000 donation to match his $1,000 donation. Well, you know, it's hard to say no to a friend, and it's even harder to say no to WJLU. So I accepted his challenge, and I've made a $1,000 donation to the station as part of the support drive. But I've also challenged 5 additional people to make $1,000 donations in honor of my challenge to you and my support of David's challenge. So we're looking for 5 people. I've been able to check online, 5 people to make $1,000 donations. You heard from our friends at HAR, You also heard from our friends at Cadence Bank. They're each making $250 donations. So we're challenging all businesses that are listening, that I've done business with you. You know me. We've worked together on certain kinds of things in this community and beyond. If you'd like to match that $250 this afternoon in the name of WJOU, Second Chance, Kenny Anderson, certainly do that on this afternoon. We look forward to you being a part of that process on today. We have a special segment every quarter called Service and Valor, featuring Captain Washington Johnson II. And we, of course, love this segment for lots of different reasons, because it provides us with deep insight and understanding about a lot of things related to the military. Captain Johnson currently serves as Director of Adventist Chaplaincy Ministries for the North American Division of Seventh-day Adventists, headquartered in Columbia, Maryland. Dr. Johnson, welcome back to the broadcast in the studio for the first time in a long time.
Amen. It's an honor and a high privilege to be with you today, Kenny, and our special guest that will be introduced shortly. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just excited to be back in the studio with guests. I mean, it was 2021 that I last had guests sitting on the side of that desk there. So it's been a very long time since that happened. And of course, Dr. Johnson always comes bearing gifts, and the gifts are typically his guests. And his guests always come full of information. And that, of course, will happen once again today. Let me introduce him properly, because I did get a great introduction for him. Chaplain Angelo Daguerre has served over a decade in the United States Army Chaplain Corps. He was recently deployed to Kuwait, where he provided outstanding spiritual and moral support to service members. Chaplain Daguerre has served in several disciplines of chaplaincy, which includes phone chaplain, healthcare, and will soon be working as a law enforcement chaplain. He's a graduate of this little institution down in Huntsville, Alabama, called Oakwood University, that I happen to be a proud graduate of, and the Seventh Adventist Theological Seminary. Chaplain Daguerre is a man of faith and is married to his wife, who is here with us in the studio today, and she's very supportive of his military service. He loves poetry and preaching, so we could either ask him to take a text or do a spoken word today. Either one. He'll go either way. I mean, he's a very versatile person, but we're just happy that most of all the things that we can say about him, he loves the Lord. Chaplain Daguerre, welcome to the Second Chance broadcast.
Yes, thank you, Kenny, for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here with you here at WJOU.
It's good to have you today, and it's good to see you. I'm always intrigued, and I always kind of start here when I meet people for the first time, especially those who are serving in the military. How did you begin your service in the military? What attracted you to that, and what was that process like?
So when it came to military service, I always had an itching ear for the military, because for me, it was like my older brother was joining the Army, and at that time they had the College First program. And so he wanted to go through like the Army National Guard. And it was a great experience for him, and he's training and everything. And I was looking forward. I was like, this is pretty cool. But I could not align my calling for ministry with military service. I didn't know how the two could mesh.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I got into my junior year at Oakwood University. I'm exploring, sending my letters to the conferences and things of that nature. And a military chaplain came to the school, and he introduced me to chaplaincy. And he said, yeah, you can actually become a pastor in the service. And it opened up my eyes to a whole lot. And he introduced me to the chaplain candidate program. And that just started the journey of a long journey that I'm still on the journey of right now.
Yeah. How would you characterize the journey until now?
That's a good question, Kenny. I would characterize the journey as one that will definitely develop you and grow you. There are going to be times in this journey where things are going to flow very smoothly. Things are going to look great. But then there's going to be moments in this journey that are going to bring about trials in your life. They're going to bring about some Joseph experiences in your life. Those moments that where you're wondering, how how did I end up in this position?
Wow.
God is with me, but why is he allowing certain suffering to take place? Or there's going to be things that start to shake your theology, shake your faith a little bit. You say, why would God allow such a horrible thing to happen to such a good person? But when those moments come, it's always important for us to remember scripture. I always tell people, when you're going through that crisis in your life, always remember Ecclesiastes 9:11. The race is not always to the swift, but time and chance happens to everyone.
Yeah.
There are going to be times where things don't align with the purpose that you know God has for you.
Yeah.
But you have to keep on to that faith. Hold on to your faith.
Yeah.
Don't let go of that faith.
Yeah.
Because God is going to see you through that thing, like he did for Joseph, like he did for each and every person who held on to their faith.
Yeah, Captain Johnson, I want to ask you this because, Chaplain Daguerre already has 10 years into this thing, and 20, is it a 20-year retirement? Can you retire at 20? Okay.
Yes, 20 years.
So you're halfway in right now, and you're still a relatively young guy. So, I mean, you got your whole life in front of you, theoretically. I want to ask you a question. When you see someone like Chaplain Daguerre, and you're a seasoned veteran of the kinds of things that he's reflecting on and talking about, what do you say to young chaplains? And young is relative, of course, even 10 years, but of course, you've had a much longer career in the military than that. What do you say to people like Chaplain Daguerre to help him maintain his focus?
Kenny, I'm very proud of Chaplain Daguerre. I met him while he was in college, and we started the conversation, and I followed him to the seminary. I would come up and visit, and I just knew from the very beginning that he had a heart of service and that he loved the Lord, first of all. And I knew that he would be successful because in the military, it's wonderful. It's a beautiful blend. You're serving both God and country. And what I say to young individuals in college or the seminary, I tell them to trust God. You can make a difference in the lives of those that are serving on ships, those that are being deployed now to any part of this globe. You can do it through God's power, but never let someone tell you that you cannot do it. And sometimes people will say, the military is so hard, it's so challenging. But as he said earlier, we have to trust God. So I tell them, pray about it and stay focused.
Yeah. Chaplain Daguerre, let me ask you this question. If any assignment in life has, I believe, certain core ingredients that are essential for a person to experience success. You've talked a little bit about those things in terms of just how you've been reflective in this journey. But if you had maybe 2 or 3 things that you said were absolutely critical to one's success that you've been able to really identify at this moment of your journey, what would those things be?
If I would say 3 things that you would need for success on this journey. Number 1, you need self-awareness. Well, I'll change that. Number 1, you need a relationship with God that is unshakable. Let's start there first.
Okay.
You need a relationship with God that is unshakable. Like I said, you're going to be faced with challenges. And if your faith in God is not strong, you will wither by the wayside. And you won't have what it takes to be able to encourage others who are going through that similar shaking. So you need to have an unwaverable relationship with God. And then the second thing I would say is self-awareness. Self-awareness is important because it allows us to be able to be aware of how we're perceived. The way you view yourself is not the way people are viewing you and your ministry. You understand? There are things that we come to with, that we show up with in our ministry. And oftentimes we're not even aware where this comes from. You understand? Are we ministering for the soldier, or are we ministering for ourselves? Are we ministering because we're called, or are we ministering because we feel like this is an expectation of us? You know, there are things that you need to be aware of, and in order to be aware of those things, you have to have an open mind. You have to be a lifelong learner. You know, be open to understanding new things and be willing to receive feedback. Your feedback is not a setback. Your feedback is going to help you grow. It's going to develop you. One of the things I would say about Joseph, he's one of my favorite characters in the Bible. Joseph was probably one of the most unaware people in the beginning of his journey. He's the favorite of all his of the three of his brothers, rather. He's the favorite, and he has this coat of many colors. He's flaunting it to his brothers. His brothers already hate him, right? Like, oh, I had a dream. You guys are gonna bow down and worship me. You know, they're like, what? You know. So Joseph was a little cocky. He didn't understand certain things, but guess what? When Joseph went through the trials that he went through, he was thrown into prison. He was sold into slavery, thrown into prison. He was accused of assault by Potiphar's wife. Guess what? It was in those moments where I believe Joseph probably developed a little self-awareness to see, wait a minute, hold on, look what I'm going through. You know, realizing that God was shaping him and molding him to be the leader that God wanted him to be. Joseph had to go through prison in order to become second in command of all of Egypt. He had to go through some challenges. And those challenges is in those dark places where we learn the greatest lessons. Happiness is not a great teacher. You know, happiness is not a great teacher. It's going to be when you go through trial that you learn the most. So that's why the last one I would say is be a lifelong learner.
Wow.
Be always open to learning.
I can connect to all of those things. In fact, the self-awareness piece, I do a lot of stuff on emotional intelligence, and that's one of the hallmarks of emotional intelligence. When you present yourself to people who you may or may not be familiar with, it's important to know how you show up. In other words, it's important to understand how you being in that space impacts the people around you. So is your self-awareness of a sense that you're clueless, like Joseph was? I agree. You know, he's walking around flaunting what he's got, and I'm daddy's favorite, and I'm that dude, and I'm gonna rule y'all one day. I mean, you don't need to say everything to everybody. You know, self-awareness kind of causes a sense of discipline in your life, and it helps you to really manage some of those challenges sometimes. I always say to people, because people say people tripping over this, that, and all the time. People will trip all the time, but you don't have to go along for the journey. And so when you're self-aware, you really begin to understand who you are as it relates to other people around you. And so I absolutely embrace that. And that resonates with me perhaps more than anything, except the lifelong learning thing, because I'm one of those people too. But just, you see it all the time. People are there and they just have no clue as to the impact that they're having on the people around them.
You know, I think about this, Kenny, this statement that I read years ago. It said, be yourself because everyone else is already taken.
Yeah.
And
That's
I think
good.
Solomon said it so well, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him and he shall direct thy paths. That's plural.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
God
good.
has promised to be with us and being mindful of who you are and your surrounding. And always say to those that are joining the military, remember that you should treat everyone with dignity and respect, regardless of their rank, whether they are on their way to becoming a general or just a private. It shouldn't matter because all of us hurt, all of us go through challenging times, and chaplains are there to support whoever calls upon them.
Chaplain Laguerre, I'm a mental health professional. I did it for 20 years. Every day, got up, went to work as a mental health professional, constantly absorbed stuff that people were bringing to me. And I'll never forget something. It's a sage wisdom that my supervisor gave me one day. Her name is Jean. Jean said, Kenny, you work from 9 to 9, 4 days a week. And for at least 10 to 11 of those hours, you're just bringing it all in. She said, you need to go home every single day and give yourself the grace of reflecting on at least one positive thing that's happened during the day. Because it's easy to get lost in the stuff when you're bringing it in. So my question to you is, how do you create filters for your own life and experience to be able to extract that toxicity? And I'm not saying somebody's difficult situation is causing a bad thing for them necessarily. I'm just saying, if you're bringing all that in, but you don't really have a way to create balance in your life as a consequence of that. Like some people say, I never turn it off. You know, I'm always thinking about something that everybody tells me. And I'm always, in the context of our faith, I'm praying for them always. And we're bearing the burdens of other people like as if we're Jesus. And Jesus didn't ask us to bear other people's burdens in that way. Okay. He asked us to bear other people's burdens, but not in that way, because we're not their saviors. So how do you filter or create filters in your life to process the stuff you're dealing with and then create balance in your own life?
So I would say that begins with self-care. Begins with self-care and a positive perspective. In the military, we call it hunting the good stuff. And when you hunt the good stuff, you look at what's positive in my life.
Yeah.
There's a poem that says, today upon a bus I saw a girl with golden hair. She seemed so fine, I envied her and wished I was half as fair. I sat there and I watched her as she hobbled down the aisle. She had one leg and wore a crutch, but as she passed, she smiled. Oh, God, forgive me when I whine. I have two legs, the world is mine. Later on that day, I went to buy some sweets. The girl who sold them had such charm. I figured I'd sit and talk a while. To be late would do no harm. We sat there, we talked. She said, thank you, sir. You've been so kind. It's nice to talk to folk like you because you see, I'm blind. Oh, God, forgive me when I whine. I have two eyes. The world is mine. Later on that day, I saw a little boy with eyes just so blue. He was sitting in the playground as he seemed like he didn't know what to do. So I went to him and said, why don't you play with the others near? He looked straight ahead without a word. And then I knew he could not hear. Oh, God, forgive me when I whine. I have two ears. The world is mine.
Yeah.
Two legs to take me where I go. Two eyes to see the sunset glow. Two ears to hear all I should know. Oh, God, forgive me when I whine. I'm blessed indeed. The world is mine. So whenever you're looking at the sorrows that others are going through and you looking at the sorrows in your life, just know it could be a whole lot worse. You got to hunt the good stuff. You got to have a positive perspective. Expect great things. That's it.
Woo.
That's it right there.
That's good stuff.
We call it resilience.
Yeah.
To keep on.
Yeah.
I think about the Old Testament, Zechariah chapter 4 and verse 6. It says, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit.
Yeah.
But by my spirit, says the Lord of hosts. So that resilience, it comes from above. You can't buy it, but you can learn it in the school of hard knocks while you're on your knees.
Yeah. And you can practice it. And
yes, I like that. Kenny, you said you can practice.
Practice it.
Yes.
Practice, in my experience, creates resilience because your lived experiences create a reality upon which you will then make a choice. So none of us are immune from bad stuff. The difference between one person that navigates through that and the other one is their ability to be resilient. And a lot of that resilience comes from how they have processed that thing. What perspective do they have? And that's why people of faith, of course, they're not immune from wavering, but your faith gets stronger as a consequence of practicing it, not just talking about it. I say, oh, I'm a person of faith, and you get knocked down. It's almost like the thing that knocked you down, say, okay, where's your faith now? And so the more I practice what I'm preaching, the more I practice what I'm professing, the more I practice what I say I believe in, the more entrenched that becomes in my own life and experience. And I love what you said, because that is an example of that very type of thing. And hunting the good is so valuable in terms of creating a balanced reality in my life that allows me to move through things and confront things that may seem to be overwhelming in that particular moment. So that is so powerful. We said he was a poet, folks. So, I mean, he had to drop something on us today. I mean, I wasn't going to let him get it by without that. So we certainly appreciate that. Chaplain Daguerre, it is 4:02. So we're going to start moving out of this segment here. But I want you to give just a closing comment to those that are listening this afternoon. And I want you to specifically direct it towards our support drive. Put a praise on it. This whole week is about declaring the glory of God in our lives and affirming how WJOU allows us to experience that. For those that are here that are pushing stuff out, music, the spoken word, this kind of information where we're highlighting people that have good and valuable information for us to inspire us, to encourage us. It's important for us to have this ministry. And to have it not just in a regional perspective or a national perspective, but we're on the airwaves all over the world today. There are people listening on the internet in all parts of the world today, whether they're letting us know that or not. They're tuned in to WJOU. I want you to, in just a few moments, and I'm going to give you both a chance to do this, reflect on the values. I'm asking people, once you're leaving, start asking people for money. Why is that valuable? Why is that necessary? Why is that important to the success and the mission and the assignment of this station?
Well, I would say that this is very important to the success. Like, people need to donate. People need to support this ministry, because if it wasn't for mentors like Elder T. Marshall Kelly, who has been on your show,
yes,
he was a mentor of mine. He was a chaplain when I was at Oakwood University. And guess who got me into poetry? It was T. Marshall Kelly. I remember the poem he shared with me, and I'd never forget it. He said, I knelt to pray when day was done and prayed, oh Lord, bless everyone. Lift from the saddened heart the pain and let the sick be well again. But after that, when day was done, I prayed, oh Lord, bless everyone. I did not even go to try to wipe the tear from any eye. I did not even share the load of any brother on the road. I did not even go to see the sick man right next door to me. But after that, when day was done, I prayed, oh Lord, bless everyone. But as I prayed into my ear, a voice whispered loud and clear, pause, my child, before you pray. Whom have you tried to help today? God's sweetest blessings come to those who help out here down below. And then I hid my face and cried, forgive me, Lord, I have not tried. But grant me just another day so that I may live the way I pray. If you want to live the way you pray today, if you don't want to just be praying empty prayers to God, then give to this ministry. Give to WJOU. It's a powerful ministry. It's reaching thousands of lives, and it's transforming lives. So please give so that this seed may be planted into many other lives.
Captain Johnson.
Ken, it's just been a privilege being with you today, and Chaplain Daguerre. I would challenge those that are listening wherever you are today to support WJOU. We are blessed as a denomination, blessed as a university to have such a jewel in our pockets. But, we don't want to keep it to ourselves. And the way to share the beauty of this jewel is by telling others about WJOU, but also contributing. You don't have to give, something that you don't have, but all of us can give something. So I challenge those that are serving in the military. I'm going to challenge them
Nice.
to give,
Yes.
especially chaplains to give. My wife and I, we brought a donation today, Joyce, and she's listening. Give, because remember, WJOU is unique. This is our station, and we must support it.
Yes.
So, chaplains, if you're listening, the challenge goes out to you today. You know the number is that area code 256-726-8012. Call us. We want to hear from you.
That's right. 256-726-8012. We got people manning the phones right now, and they are waiting to hear from you right now. We know that if you call, they will answer, and we will not delay. We will make sure we get your call. We'll get your pledge, and the whole world will be aligned with your blessing. As you bless the station, we hope to continue to bless you. Gentlemen, what a extraordinary opportunity to be able to talk to you today. Chaplain Daguerre, I thank you for being here today, sharing a little piece, a little slice of your life, for traveling here to be with us today. And we certainly appreciate that. And of course, Captain Johnson, I thank you for continuing to provide such a valuable space for us to have these important and substantive conversations about your journey. You're very reflective in terms of your own personal journey, and sharing that with others as they come and share with us has been a great value to this broadcast. If you want more of these opportunities, folks, that's exactly why we're asking you to give, because it gives us a chance to be able to bring this quality of experience into the station. So thank you, gentlemen, for being with us today.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Okay, you'll come back, right?
Absolutely. Whenever you want me to come, Kenny, I'll be there.
Fantastic. Thank you. And of course, as I said earlier, this is the first time that we've had people in the studio in 2.5 years. And that is significant that you would be here today. And we certainly appreciate you being here today. And we're going to look forward to take you up on that opportunity sometime in the near future. So thank you so much for that. All right, we're going to play a short song for you at this time, folks. And as we play this song, we want you to think about the number that we've given you. That number, once again, is 256 and 726-8012. And we hope that you'll definitely take advantage of the opportunity to pour into the ministry of WJOU. We have a daily pledge, a daily goal of about $11,700. We have raised thus far today about $7,200. So we are a little less than $3,000 shy of our goal for today. Folks that are listening out there right now, I've got a $1,000 challenge on the table. David Person asked me to step up with 1,000. He just stepped up with 1,000. We just need 5 more people to step up with 1,000, and we'll clear that goal for today. We're going to raise $100,000 to improve the quality of service at this station. And every one of you and every one of us will be grateful as a result of the investment that you make in this moment as we speak to you about why this is happening and why this is important. On the other side of the short break, where I'm going to play a song, I'm going to tell you about what your contributions will do for us. And we look forward to you being a part of the ministry as we move forward. I'm Kenny Anderson. I hope that you're having a great day. We'll talk to you again in just a little bit.
Ooh, yeah. Even when the sun comes up, or when day turns to night, when the raindrops fall out, everything's gonna be alright. Though life is crazy, or as good as it can be, in the midst of adversity, God's been good to me. Is He? Oh, surely good to show. Surely is. It's so to me.
Come unto me, you heavy laden, and I will give you rest. He says you try to solve your problems, yes, giving your best. But my child, you must realize where your strength lies. It's not in you.
From above.
Thank you for your love. God, you're so good to me. Whoa.
Is so good to me. God,
he's so true and he's so kind and protective.
is so good to me. So lift your
arms onto the
from whence your help cometh.
It cometh from above. Know that you are under his care, and he'll be right there to give you
whatever you need.
He is so good to me.
Oh, I thank you, Jesus.
Oh, Lord.
You heard my cry.
Yes, you did.
And you pity me wrong. Hallelujah. So good to thank Jesus.
He woke me up this morning and started me on my way.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
And let me see the sun.
Good to me.
Good to me. Yeah. God is good.
So good to me.
In the midnight hour
when I need some power,
I get down on my knees and pray. And when the Lord is done fixing my situation, everything is okay.
So I'm standing right here to encourage you.
Yes, I am.
'Cause there ain't no limit to what the Lord can do.
No.
So good to me.
That was God is Good by Joyce and Robert Presley. Of course, I'm Kenny Anderson. This is the broadcast Second Chance. And this has been an opportunity for me to not only do my regular radio show, but also support the Fall Support Drive. Put a praise on it right here at WJOU 90.1 FM. Got a lot to catch up on, folks. In fact, a lot of things I want to share with you about how you can support. But first of all, if you would just give me an opportunity to thank my guests today. They were absolutely phenomenal guests, beginning with Renee Scruggs, who is the author of a brand new book called Grown. It is subtitled An Unexpected Journey to a Life-Affirming Conclusion. When Life Attacks, What's Your Superpower? We thank her for joining us on this afternoon. Kathy Miller, the Community Impact Director for the United Way of Madison County, joining us today for a great conversation about the needs assessment that was just done and all the great work that was a part of that effort. My friends from Cadence Bank, Teresa Leslie, Community Development Lender, and also special guest today, Curtis Kruger, CEO of the Huntsville Area Realtors, both making $250 contributions to the pledge drive today. We thank them for that. And then Service and Valor with Captain Washington Johnson and his special guest, Chaplain Angelo Daguerre, on today on the Second Chance broadcast. Now, if you've been on since about 1 o'clock today, you know I've been on since 1. And from 1 to 2 is David Person and myself, after David had spent some time with General Manager Donna Baker, talking about the support drive and why we support WJOU and also offering challenges. I wanted to give you all a little update on where we are right now and let you know how you can help us. We, of course, are at this point, we have a goal of about 11,000 plus a day in order to get to our $100,000 mark by the end of the week. And of course, just so that people will know that we're raising money for a specific purpose, They are station enhancements that will help get the word out much more effectively, much more consistently, and with greater clarity than we've ever been able to do before. And we hope that you will take an opportunity to do that. We, of course, are looking to increase the power of the station to 33,000 watts. We're going to upgrade our HD broadcasting capabilities. We're going to improve our audio quality. We're going to increase the diversity of programming through multiple WJLU stations. This is a big deal for WJLU. This is transformative, not just for what happens here in this community, but what happens in the region, the nation, and around the world. WJLU is making a huge statement that we're in this to win. And by winning means that we want to make sure we have the highest caliber quality programming that can be heard by anybody around the world at any time, just with a flip of a button, a click of a switch, or something of that nature. We are at $7,200 right now, moving up towards our goal of 11,000 plus for the day. And of course, some of you have blessed the Second Chance program today with just under $3,500. We're going to get that up to 4,000, folks, at least 4,000.
You got it up to 4,000. We just got $1,000 gift in from your guest, and
wow.
Yes,
wow.
$1,000. So you have met your goal.
We're at $4,250.
Yes, sir.
$4,250 for the day. We're going to get that up to 5,000.
All right, now
folks,
let's
because
do it.
I'm still waiting for those 3 more people to match my challenge, which was $1,000 based on David Person challenging me for $1,000. And of course, this has been a good day, Don.
Very good day. Very good day. God is good. He's showing out. And so we're going to meet our financial goal for this day.
Yeah.
I know we're going to meet it.
Oh, yeah.
It's only $11,200 a day. And listen, we're only like $3,000 away from that goal right now for our daily financial goal for our support drive. So this has been an excellent day.
It's been an excellent day. And I'm glad you said that with just $3,000 away, because there's something providential sometimes about conversation. And I was just affirmed in you saying that I just said, there are 3 people out there who are going to write that $1,000 check.
Right.
And you're going to be able to bring us up to the level that we're looking to clear today, which is $11,200, on our way to $100,000 goal by the end of this week, start of next week. I guess we finish next Sunday.
Right,
so it'll be the start of next week, technically. But it's God's space. It's his time. It's his purpose. It's everything that he's doing in this space that has us so motivated and excited. Donna, I don't know who's more sold out on WJLU. I know you're the general manager, but listen, I've been here 34 years.
Yeah.
And this is exciting to still be doing this.
Praise God. Yeah.
People keep saying, how long are you going to do this show? I said, well, number one, Donna has to keep letting me do it. That's the first thing.
And you're here. You're here. You're going to be here. You're not going anywhere. And if you try to go, you're going to have to kick and scream, because I'm not going to let you go.
Well, thank you for that confidence. And I say, as long as I'm excited about coming, I get so excited about doing this show because I have so many people that say the show touched my life in a certain kind of way.
Absolutely.
I was literally in this studio one day many years ago, and I got a call during the break. And I don't normally answer the phone during the break because it's such a short amount of time.
Right.
But I'm sure God's Spirit invited me to answer the phone that day. And I picked up the phone, and I had just interviewed a guest who had written a book in Maryland on the phone. And lady that was calling lived in France.
Okay.
And she said, it's about 6 or 7 hours ahead of where you are right now. So it's really late at night. I should be in bed. But that lady's story was my story.
Wow.
And it was so compelling. I could not turn the radio off. And she said everything she talked about, her mountain experiences, her valley experiences, God's presence and his moving through those experiences that she had. That's my story.
Right.
Just keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for sharing that information. That's the power of WJLU.
Absolutely. That's what we're all about, touching lives. We will never know how we have impacted individuals' lives until we get to heaven. And they'll come around and they'll be saying, WJLU did this because of this program, because of this song, because of the spoken word, because of the talking, the programs that you and the caliber of your guests that come on and what they share, like the one we just had here, that poem.
Oh,
my goodness. I mean, if you weren't moved by that,
Oh,
okay,
wow.
something's wrong with you.
Wow.
But that's what we're all about, just offering, that caliber, that quality of guests that really touch people's lives and it's transformative.
It really is. And if I really stopped for a minute and thought about, because people have asked me this all the time, who's your favorite guest after all these years? And I have a lot of people I've talked to over the years, but there's a guest that stands out in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Richard Geiss.
Okay.
Gyce. Richard spoke at AY at Oakwood one October,
Okay.
just prior to Thanksgiving. And sometimes the Oakwood AY experience can be challenging for people who are talking from the front,
Mm-hmm.
at least when it was in Ashby or the skating rink, because there's just a lot of fumbling and buzzing and moving around. But I was not drawn to the speaker because of what he was saying at first. I was drawn to the speaker because of the response from the audience. People were literally sitting on the edge of their seats. I said, what is this guy talking about?
Right.
He was talking about how God had moved him from a life of crime to accepting Christ as his savior. And I was so moved by Richard's story. I went up to him afterwards, native of Chicago, had moved to Little Rock, Arkansas. I said, I got to have you on my show. So I did a 3-part series with him called From Crime to Christ.
Oh, my goodness. I know that was moving.
It was powerful. And I actually have it on cassette tape still.
Okay.
I need to get Damon to do something with it for me.
So you still have it.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, I still have it. And it was so moving that for these 3 segments, I talked to Richard about his life of moving from being a gangbanger to accepting Christ. And the story doesn't have a good ending.
Oh, really?
Just weeks after we aired it, he was killed.
Wow.
He had gone back home to Little Rock, Arkansas, and his past caught up with him.
Oh, my goodness.
He had gotten a job at the Oakwood cafeteria. He was being sponsored by a pastor. His life was just moving in all the right ways. And yet his past caught up with him.
Wow.
His choices on the front end made the devil very happy. His choices on the back end
made him very angry,
unhappy. And he paid that price. But I've talked to Cece, Fred Hammonds. I have a lot of people on the show. It was Richard Geiss, somebody who nobody's going to necessarily know, that had the most profound impact on me over the years.
Yes.
And when you say the quality of guests, that's what we're talking about. And the pandemic blessed us because we went to a virtual platform.
Absolutely.
Now I can speak to people all over the world.
All over the world.
There are no boundaries.
Exactly.
And so not only do people's contributions enhance our ability to do the kinds of things we're doing in terms of enhancements, but it allows us to continue to expand our base.
Absolutely.
In terms of our reach and bringing people in to inspire and to encourage and to bless people in so many ways.
And it's those programs like that. We've talked about it, about the other like legacy. I'm going to start calling them legacy programs and interviews that we've had with T. Marshall Kelly. And the programs that Vicky did are just so encouraging and just transformative. And, with the support drive, we're going to have these channels that, hey, one of them could be an archival channel, WJOU4, where we're just playing back those interviews like you talk. So we got to digitize that interview that you have. So we can have that available and maybe have an archival type of channel. I mean, we don't know what we're going to do with our channels, but the sky is the limit.
That's right.
And so because these types of things are evergreen, they're always going to impact, they're always going to make a difference in somebody's life. And so you don't have to put it on the shelf and say that's outdated, because it doesn't. It doesn't outdate.
That's right.
When you're talking about the love of Christ and how your life has changed and how you are following Christ, and how that impacts others to do the same.
That's right.
So it never gets old.
No.
And so I think there's an opportunity there as well for us to use what we're going to be going to.
That's right.
Taking it to the next level. I mean, there's just so many opportunities. And I just love that God has blessed WJLU to be able to offer that. I mean, we have some good radio stations in the city and around the world, but I feel like we have something very unique.
We do. We do. And we have it unique as, Dave and I were talking earlier. I talked to so many people in this community who listen to WJLU.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say something like, I listen to your show all the time, but I never changed that station.
Right.
I never changed that dial. I never turned from it. The quality of things that happens is so powerful. And there's some businesses, there's one I'm thinking of right now. And I won't call his name on that. That I don't think he minds, but just would want to be sure.
Right.
Every time I go in there, the station's on.
Right.
I mean, every single time. I've been his client now for probably almost 30 years now.
Okay.
Almost 30. And he has never, it's like he's never changed the dial.
Right.
To go from WJLU to WOCG to WJLU.
Yeah.
He's been right there the whole time. And every customer that comes in there is exposed to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it may be affirming for them in some instances. It may be inspiring in some instances, maybe informative in some instances. But WJOU provides such a rich experience for people. And that's why we want you to exercise the opportunity to call us this afternoon at 256-726-8012. That's 256-726-8012. We thank everyone who's called us thus far. We thank you who are thinking about calling, and we're thanking those that will call sometime throughout the week. We know that you're listening. We know that you want to be engaged and involved. And if you're also near an electronic device, you can go to WJOU.org, get plugged in, make the contribution, let your voice be heard, and we will definitely value and appreciate everything you've done. We are right now, again, right at around, we're a little less than $3,000 towards our daily goal.
And let's talk about those who have come in. Let's celebrate and thank those donors. So, because we haven't called out our supporters today, except for early this morning, I did a few.
All right.
So, when you came on, Kenny, the money started flowing.
Oh, my. Me?
Yeah, the money started flowing in. So we're going to start with thanking, first of all, Tony Perkins started our day off because yesterday when I came in, we were actually only about $1,000 away from meeting our goal from yesterday. So Tony Perkins, his mother donated $1,000. So that's how we ended the day from yesterday, this morning, and we met our goal at $11,200. So then we started when David Person came in.
Right.
He was $1,000. Thank you so much, David Person, and spending so much time with us. Then we had an anonymous donor, gave another $1,000 and doing it systematically. David actually came on. He was talking about giving systematically, and we had that beautiful anonymous donor come in, and so they're donating $83 a month for $1,000 a day. And so then we had our friend Keith Matthews come in, $250.
Thank
you,
Keith.
Lord. Thank you, Lord. And then again, Dr. Robert Chaplin, Dr. Robert and Dallas Peters.
Yes.
They donated another $1,000. They have been donating on a monthly basis, and we're just so thankful for that. And so they actually put out a challenge as well to all of the Oakwood College, university classes since WJLU began in 1979.
Wow.
If you were in a freshman class in 1979, they're challenging that class to raise collectively $1,000. And every class, freshman class, after that, up until 2023, to also come together with your classmates from your freshman year and donate $1,000. So he came in with his $1,000 and challenged all the classes from 1979.
Awesome.
Then we had two anonymous donors giving $25 and $50 each. And then, Washington Johnson
Yeah.
and Joyce, they came in with a $200 gift as well. And they are repeat givers,
Yeah.
and donators of WJLU. So we thank them. We have some of your guests
Yes.
that came in and gave, and over online, people started giving. So we want to say thank you to, I hope I'm saying her name, Kadena. That was one of Kadena Bank? $250. Terry Mitchell, that's my girl.
All right.
Came in. I wonder if that's for her class. $100, and then we had two anonymous. One giving $25, another giving $100, and then one of your guests, Kruger,
Yes.
$250.
Yes.
And then Dora Hewlett Pride also came in with $1,000.
Oh wow!
And then of course you're gonna top it off because you're gonna give an additional $1,000.
Yep.
So those are all of our donors from today that get us to the point where we are. We're only needing about $3,000 to meet our daily goal for today.
Yeah.
And so some of these are coming in, and we haven't updated our website, but we'll be trying to get our website updated so people can actually see where we are.
Yeah.
Because people are coming in, they're paying by credit card. We've got to enter those in, and they're paying by cash.
Right.
But that's where we are. We just want to thank all of our donors from today for helping us get this far. And like Kenny said, we have a few more to go, a few more $1,000 to go to get our daily challenge in.
We're so
$11,200.
Yeah.
That's all.
Listen,
and we'll start it over in the morning.
We're so close. You closed out yesterday, first thing
Yes.
this morning.
Yeah.
We've had a great day today. I know that God has positioned us for great success throughout the
Yes.
week.
Yeah.
The $100,000 will be raised. It shall be done.
Yes.
Thinking about the amazing Daryl Coley song. one of my
Yes, I was
favorites.
thinking about that when
Shall
you
be
said
done.
that.
You'll find that song. I'm just thinking about people listening right now, and how much sometimes we take things for granted. And there have been times when circumstances have forced the station off the air for one reason or another.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking about how many calls I get when that happens.
Yeah.
People are like, what happened to the station?
It's life changing when we're not on the air.
It really is.
It is.
People, this is part of the rhythm of their lives. And we know that. And we want to make sure that we're doing everything to offset those unfortunate times when that might happen. And we know you're listening out there, and we know that you want to come alongside us and support us in this journey. And we're not asking for everybody to make the same contribution. We're just asking you to make a contribution. So whatever that is, I was talking, Donna, and I may be able to find that picture. A mother brought her young daughter up many years ago, and it was during the broadcast. I was pitching, and the little girl came on, and she just had a little envelope with her money that she wanted to make a contribution.
Yes.
And
I remember a little girl like that too. Her name was Esther. She came through. I don't know if it's the same one, but this was a couple of years ago, and she came in and she wanted, I think this young lady gave like $2 or $5.
I mean, it was heart. She gave from her heart. It's the widow's mite.
Yes.
And that meant so much. And I got this really precious photo of her looking up at me as I'm looking down at her, and she's making that contribution. And I'm thinking in this moment, if a little child can be moved enough by the ministry of this station to make a contribution of a couple of dollars or $5, which is a huge sacrifice for them, I'm sure. I mean, of course, they're not paying bills like us adults are and have those kinds of responsibilities, but there's something moving in their heart that says this matters. And we know that you listening out there this afternoon, this matters, and you know that we take what we do seriously. And we want you to call 256-726-8012. We want those three people who are going to make that $1,000 donation each. We want you to go ahead and call 256-726-8012. You don't need my permission. You don't need me to know that you've called. We just need you to go ahead and do that, because we want to go ahead and clear this before I stop what I'm doing at 5 o'clock today.
Heading out now. I got to get to the next.
Donna's headed off. Donna is headed off to do what she's got to do. So we thank you for all that you do. And we're thankful for this opportunity. I tell you what, folks, Let's the big hand clap. Big hand clap. Yeah, big hand clap for all those people that have been donating and contributing and making our lot today so much easier and so much more desirable in terms of our ability to think about what our future looks like for WJOU. This station means so much to so many of us. And I know that you want to join us today and make sure that we keep providing this awesome programming for you. 256-726-8012. I want to issue my challenges one more time because I do have some specific challenges. And those specific challenges, of course, provide us with an opportunity and provides you with an opportunity to think about a way that you may want to support us in this effort. So the challenges are, I've been with the station as a volunteer for 34 years, and it'll be 34 years next month. So just say 34 years right now. And of course, we are excited that that legacy is a part of the investment that I've made in this journey. So in honor of those 34 years, we ask that you consider making a challenge donation of $34. 256-726-8012 is the number to call, or you can go online at WJOU.org. $42. My boy Dave Person and I were talking a little bit earlier, and Dave has been with the station for 42 years in some form or fashion. And so the opportunity exists for you to give a challenge donation of $42 in honor of David Person's investment in this space. Renee Scruggs, who was my first guest today on the radio program, she has written a brand new book. The book is called Grown, and here's the book right here. Subtitled, An Unexpected Journey to a Life-Affirming Conclusion When Life Attacks, What's Your Superpower? Very proud of my sister, Renee Scruggs, and becoming an author. And so she challenged listeners. It's been 45 years since the accident. She wanted to give a challenge of $45 to those that may want to make that kind of a donation on this afternoon. And then, of course, it's homecoming weekend, Alabama A&M Bulldogs. I have dual residency. I'm not only an Oakwood University ambassador, having graduated from this institution many, many years ago, but also went over to A&M, got my master's in clinical psych, graduated in 1990, which is 34 years ago. Oh my goodness. Time really flies, I guess, when you're having a good time. And so I'm also an A&M Bulldog. And this is our homecoming weekend. Big game yesterday with Bethune-Cookman University, who got their clock cleaned and their bell rung yesterday, 56-12. They're having a pretty tough season as it is, but the Bulldogs even up their record to 3-3. They scored 56 points. So if you are celebrating with the Bulldogs like I am, and you're part of Bulldog Nation, we invite you to consider a donation of $56. And of course, I'm part of the 150th anniversary committee for Alabama A&M, celebrating their 150th year next year. Maybe you want to make a contribution of $150 to align with that particular opportunity. We invite you to do that. And then, as I said, I walked in about 1:45 this afternoon to start my segment or my broadcast at 1 o'clock today, ahead of the 2 o'clock Second Chance broadcast. And my good friend David Person said, well, I've challenged you to make a $1,000 donation. I did accept that challenge, and then I immediately challenged 5 additional people to make $1,000 contributions. We've had 2 people have accepted my challenge, and we're just waiting for 3 more people to accept my challenge. We have an annual goal of $11,200 a day, and we're hoping that you have an opportunity to be able to make us happy and make us viable in terms of our ability to continue to be able to do the work that we're doing right here at Praise 90.1 FM. Now, we are sitting at about $8,200 for today, which means that we're just shy of $3,000 for reaching our daily goal of $11,200. We have a week-long goal of $100,000, which we hope to have a big announcement on next Sunday when we let you know that we've raised that goal, and we'll be able to have the kinds of enhancements that will make this station a wonderful, wonderful station, well beyond where we are even today. Increasing the power to 33,000 watts, upgrading to HD broadcasting, improving our audio quality, and expanding our stations. And so it's important for us to think about how we get involved, how we make a contribution, and how do we somehow find a way to be able to pour into this station and this ministry and this opportunity to be able to do the kinds of things that we know matter to you the most. And so we hope that you'll definitely come on out and be a part of this. We're looking forward to having a big celebration later next week as a consequence of that. And we'll be back with you in just a little bit as far as that's concerned. I'm going to be on the air for another 20 minutes, actually. And I'm going to play a song for you right now, just to kind of give you a little music, put a little music in your head. And that way we can move on to the next thing that we're going to do today, which is just give you a few more ways that you can be supportive of WJOU. And I will be back in just a moment. I'm just looking for the perfect song to play. I don't even know what the perfect song is this afternoon. There's a lot of stuff in this thing. And we want to put even more songs in here to make sure that you get the music that you're looking for. And we, of course, are committed to that through your donations. Let me give you the call numbers again, 256-726-8012, 256-726-8012. We're looking for that phone to start ringing off the hook this afternoon. We're looking for your call, and we're looking for your opportunity to be able to bless WJOU. We know that you're there for it, and we know that you're able to be able to help us. I'll be back in just a moment.
Some days it seems like it'd be easier to just let go.
I know you're praying for a change, to see a sunny day. Nothing good has come your way for so long. You need someone to understand this place your heart is in. You just want to dream again and believe.
Yeah.
Your skies may look dim and gray, but know your breakthrough's not far away.
That's what we want you to do.
So hold on.
Yes.
You are too close to give up.
You have so much to live for.
You have so much to live for.
Remember what you prayed for.
Never what you prayed for.
Yes.
Hold on.
Don't give up.
Please don't let go in this season. No matter how it's going, we rain falls.
So no matter what you're going through right now,
You just hold on.
come on, Monica.
You ask, will this go away? Know that God can feel your pain. Believe you'll never fall short of His word. Sometimes we forget that He holds us in His hands, but I'm reminding you, don't give up.
Yeah.
Sometimes your skies may seem dark and gray.
We all have days like that.
Just know your breakthrough's not far away. Hold on. You are too close. So close now. So much to live for.
Hold on.
Hold on. Please don't let go.
Don't let go in this tough season because
When rain falls,
the rain falls. So listen,
you just hold on.
I'm speaking from experience. I I was there.
Almost at the breaking point in my life.
Yeah.
I know you say it's impossible.
Yeah.
But you got to let go.
Because it's just about over.
Just about over.
But here's the good news. Listen.
All of your dreams.
Your dream.
All of your desires.
Yes, they are. Yes,
Are
they are.
coming to pass.
Whoa, whoa.
So I'm telling you, don't lose your faith.
Don't
Hold on to His word.
Don't give up.
Come on, friend.
Sometimes your skies may seem dim and gray, but know your breakthrough's not far away. Too close to give up, so much to live for.
Yes.
Hold on, yeah, yeah.
So much to live for. Every promise,
Never let go. Never let go. You are too close now.
Closer than you think, so never let go.
never let go.
Never let go. You are.
You are too close.
Oh, never let go. Never let go.
You got to endure because
You are so close.
You're close to it now, so don't give up.
you're so close.
The tears may go down, but stand to the end. But you're too close, you're too close.
You are too close.
Well, if you listen to the Second Chance radio broadcast on a regular basis, or if you listen to it enough, that's one of my favorite songs. That's James Fortune and Fire, featuring people like Fred Hammond and Monica. And just one of my favorite songs. I like to play it because I always think about it as a song of inspiration. The name of the song is Hold On. And we certainly know that there are a lot of people in different situations out there in life in which they're being challenged by life circumstances. Sometimes it's adversity, sometimes it's crossroads. There are just a lot of different ways that people can be challenged, and challenge is not always negative. In fact, I always think about challenge as an opportunity for growth. And so as we think about that song, Hold On, we encourage people this afternoon who may be in tough, difficult situations to just home. We're mindful of those people in the North Carolina area who have been displaced by the hurricanes, and Florida and South Carolina and parts of Tennessee, some parts of Alabama and other places who have experienced loss or displacement. We are praying for you. There are some of us who are literally sending money to you. Many of us are sending services to you and resources. It's times like these that we absolutely need to band together as one human family and work to alleviate the misery of others. And so we're mindful in this moment as we ask for support for WJOU, that there are a lot of people suffering and navigating through that very difficult circumstance right now. We want to remind people that this is an opportunity to support this station because of the kinds of inspiration that we provide, because of the kinds of encouragement that we provide, because we want to be a transformative station. We want people's lives to be impacted in the most positive way through the ministry of WJOU. And so as we ask you to support this station, we ask you to consider supporting our 2024 fall support drive. It's called Put a Praise on It. And that's exactly what we're asking you to do with your donation today. Your donation basically says that you give all glory to God, that you are trusting in him, that you align with his will, and that you hope and pray that WJOU will continue to be the type of venue and vehicle by which you can receive the kinds of things that you've received for so long, the inspirational word that has been preached, the messages that have been shared, the music that has been expressed, the different kinds of forums that we provide through things like Second Chance and What's Going On. We hope that all of that can be very positive and productive for you. You can call us this afternoon and make your pledge, your secure pledge, at 256-726-8012. That's 256-726-8012. We hope that you have an opportunity to be able to do this. And we hope that you have the opportunity to do this because it helps make a difference in our ability to grow our station. Now, this station, of course, is a station that is listener supported. We know that the people that listen to this station on a regular basis love us. We know that you follow us. We know that you are important to us in our lives. And so it was easy for me earlier when I walked into the station, when my good friend David Person said, I've issued a challenge, as we do every year at this time. He and I always challenge one another to make a contribution, but he challenged me with $1,000 challenge. And I accepted that challenge, and I asked for 5 additional people to join me in the $1,000 challenge. We've had 2 thus far. And if only 3 more accept the challenge, we will meet our daily goal of $11,200. Somebody might be doing that even now while I'm on the air and I'm talking about it. Hey, what's up, Cliff? Good to see you, man. Yes, sir. My cousin Cliff Baylock. Blessings to you, man. Continuing to pray for you and your health. And hopefully everything's moving in the right direction for you at this time. Thank you for being a regular supporter of the broadcast and always giving us an opportunity to be able to feel your presence as well. You've been a guest on this broadcast before, and I have not issued the past guest challenge to those that are listening this afternoon. If you've been a past guest on Second Chance, my challenge to you this afternoon is to consider making a $25 donation. I would have said $34 because that's how long I've been on the station, but 25 sounds like a nice round number. So if you've ever been a guest, and I count there are about 1,800 people that have been guests on this broadcast over the 34 years that I've been on, and that may be a conservative estimate, but I would say somewhere between 1,800 and 2,000 people have been on in 34 years. $25 challenge donation, 256-726-8012, 256-726-8012. We hope that you'll make that donation. Again, what's going to happen as a result of the donations that you're making? Some good stuff is going to happen. We're going to increase the power of the studio to 33,000 watts. We're going to upgrade to HD broadcasting. That's 5 state-of-the-art HD studios and equipment. And I know if you're sitting around the house, then we can definitely align our understanding with the quality of HD and the difference between analog and HD. 2 different things in that process. And we want to make sure that the station is operating at the top of the line in terms of its ability to get the word out. Improve audio quality. We want you to have the clearest, most distinct sound whenever you turn on WJOU. It's going to be like, wow, I can't take my ears and eyes away from that station because the quality is so good. The visual quality is good. The audio quality is good. Your contribution this afternoon and over the next week makes that possible. And then we're going to increase the number of available stations for WJOU to 4 additional stations. That means that we'll be able to do some very targeted broadcasting and programming on some of those other stations. If you make a contribution this week, we can really significantly, seriously transform our ability as a station to be able to do the kinds of things that we know we can do. We know we will be committed to using whatever you donate to us in the best way possible, and your money will go towards improving the quality of our success here at WJOU. 256-726-8012. I'm going to be on for another 4 minutes, but that's it. I hope that those 3 additional $1,000 donors will come on at 256-726-8012. You can also make your secure pledge at WJLU.org. In the next 3 minutes, I'll wait around for you to do it. 256-726-8102. Don't just hear my challenge, honor my challenge. And I know there are people out there that can do that. You can do that this afternoon and can do that in the next couple of minutes. So we hope that you'll do that. I've put out other challenges. I'm going to post them on the Second Chance Facebook page as well as my own Facebook page so that you'll be able to see those challenges as well. This is really a fun time. Support Drive is always a lot of fun because not only is there fellowship, not only is there fun and going down memory lane for those of us that have been here a very long time, but it's also food involved in the background and an opportunity for us to raise some funds for the station. And that's really what Support Drive is all about. And everything that we raise, folks, is going to enhance the quality of the WJLU experience. And I know that's something that we all are looking for. Our daily goal is $11,200. When we last checked about 45 minutes ago, we were just $3,000 shy of that. We've already raised $8,200 today. That's our daily goal on the road to getting $100,000 by next Sunday. I'm going to be back again on next Sunday with a live broadcast, and I'll have 4 more live guests in the studio next week. I'm going to be on the air from 1 to 5 once again next week, so I'll be part of that closeout process, and I look forward to it. This is, again, one of the best opportunities that I have here in my life. As a retiree, a recent retiree, people are asking me all the time, are you still going to do the show? Yes, yes, and yes. I'm still going to do the show because I love doing what I do, and I love sharing information. I love connecting with people, and I love learning from people. So, yes, the show will definitely go on right here on Praise 90.1 FM. And we hope to be able to do some new and creative kinds of things as well, whether they're live remotes and other kinds of things. But the technology that's available, we can really expand our reach in our community, and we can make a significant impact in terms of the work that we do. So we are very close to the 5 o'clock hour, which means that I'm going to relinquish my hold on this mic. It means I'm going to turn things back over to the studio's computer and let it do what it do on this Sunday afternoon. And I hope that you have a good rest of the day. To all of those that have made contributions so far, we applaud you. We thank you. We appreciate you for all the stuff that you've done for us today. We are very, very hopeful and anticipating what you're going to be doing throughout the remainder of the week. You're going to be sharing this information with others. You're going to be inviting others to participate. You're going to be challenging others. And we look forward to an awesome, awesome time in the Lord over the next week. In the meantime, I hope that you have a great rest of the day. I'm Kenny Anderson for Second Chance. And for those extra 2 hours that I did today, I have enjoyed myself immensely. And I look forward to being back on next Sunday. I will be here during the week answering phones. So I'm going to be looking for your pledges or your calls, your donations. Stop by the station, 4920. We'd love to see you, greet you. Thank you for everything that you've done. Please support WJLU. We look forward to that as we move forward. You guys have a great rest of the day. And I'm turning it back over to the station at this time.
WJOU Huntsville, 90.1 FM, a broadcast service of Oakwood University.